Oh, the road love was looking at her. She hit the floor. Next thing you know, Shawty got low, 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 low. Oh, back swinging, they box with the straps. She did that big booty, yeah, slap. She hit the floor, next thing you know, Shawty got low, 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 low. Everybody, apple bottom cheese, to my bottom to my yeah, mama. Next thing you know, Shawty got low, 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 low.
And we're live. Welcome to the Renegade podcast. I'm your host of Dashing Rogue with my frequent sidekick, Artistic Landon.
Disney is done.
And who says that?
Tim Pool.
Oh, fuck him. No, fuck him. Oh, fuck the alternative mainstream media wagon he walked in on. Like people say, oh, you're just jealous. No, not really. Well, in a little way I am, but even then, it's not because what he gets to do. It's more of how he gets to do it. Like, I talk about the alternative mainstream media being a real fucking phenomenon that we are going to have to deal with as the layman on the internet, right? People like fucking Steven Crowder, right? He actually was standing up against this shit. Like, say what you will about Crowder, I think he's been fairly consistent most of the time. But when the Daily Wire was doing backroom deals and whatnot, he was the one standing up against it. But, you know, a lot of these people, including Candace Owen and all of them, they're all alternative mainstream media darlings. None of them will run for office. They'll get lots of... So keep giving them the super chats in the vain hope that Timmy will run for president one day. I don't think he will. I really don't think he will.
Well, why would they? I mean, that was kind of a joke in the Man of the Year with Robin Williams.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. Robin Williams at least has, you know, how shall we say it? He has the excuse of being a comedian. But here, Tim Pool's young. Tim Pool could actually probably bring in a youth demographic.
I mean,
all he has to do is... Yeah,
Tim Pool is basically playing the equivalent of Jon Stewart.
No, that goes to the other guy. What the hell? The guy from AOC. Speaking of big booties, the guy who loves AOC's big ass. You know the one, Stein, right? Alex Stein.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's trying to set himself up to be the conservative version of Jon Stewart. It's not going to happen, and the reason why is because the people who actually have like things to say and actually know when to turn it down and actually pay attention, he doesn't know how to do that. And to combine the fact that conservatives aren't really known for their snarky behavior. Libertarians maybe, but not. And even then, I'd rather have a libertarian Jon Stewart before I have a conservative Jon Stewart. Because conservative Jon Stewart, if you really want to know who the conservative Jon Stewart would be, you know who it would be?
Who?
It would be Johnny Carson. I think it was either Johnny Carson or who was it? The guy from late night television in the 1960s. What the hell is his name? Ed Sullivan. That's like people who actually try to entertain instead of just trying to push a message down your fucking throat. And every single time, the message is always going to be sacrificed for clarity of vision of the ideology. If that makes any sense.
Well,
they will always sacrifice the
best alternative to Jon Stewart is Chris Chappell.
Chris Chappell would be Chris Chappell is Chris Chappell, little fucking conservative wrathy. No, Chris Chappell would be the conservative equivalent of Stephen Colbert. He has more of that chaotic bent to him, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Jon Stewart is more of a straight man. Colbert was more of the fucking crazy wizard from World of Warcraft. That's what you're dealing with. Wolf, welcome. The thing about Tim is he believes in nothing and has said so much, yet right-wingers follow him as a leader. Because he's a fucking... Well, why do they follow him as a leader? They look at 3 million subscribers, right? Or how many subscribers he has now? 2 billion? 2 million?
Tim Pool. It depends on what channel you're looking on.
Well, combined, let's just say he has roughly around, I don't know, more than 2 million subscribers. Let's say 1.5 million just to give him the benefit of the doubt. What is he doing with it? besides shilling, it's the end of the world, it's the end of the world. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say I have nothing against Tim Pool. It's just though his presentation has changed. The moment he went straight and started doing like a live stream show instead of just being a reporter on the ground, which by the way, I'll just say it right now, Tim, no one recognizes you. All you have to do is swap out the beanie or ditch the beanie and no one will fucking know who you are. It's like fucking Superman with the glasses or the Tick. No one will know who you are until if you put on those glasses and take off that fucking beanie. Anyhow, for those of you who want to know what that song was, that was an AI cover of Louis Armstrong's Apple Bottom Jeans. He's singing low, and it was actually really good.
That was very impressive. Yeah.
It definitely had it hit all the right bells and whistles, so to speak.
It had the right tone. It had the right music. It had the right. You would never guess it was something else.
I know, right? Let's see. What else we got here? So be sure to like and favorite this. We're going to continue from now on. Continue to something else a bit. Wolf says, we are winning, but I admit he's looking... has admitted to looking to flee the United States twice. Yeah, fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck Tim Pool. Fuck, like, there's really no reason for him to flee the United States. Stay here and fight. You can make the argument that I fled California, and I will gladly say I did, because let's be frank with ourselves. California is falling down, and the conservatives aren't saving it. The conservatives would rather just use it as a talking point. Say, look how horrible California is. I'm like, really? Why don't you get off your ass and go there and move there and, genderfy, like, how the leftists keep genderfying, mainland America. Why don't you go and do the same thing? I'm sure if you showed competency, they would they would actually have to respect you, right? Not going to happen. Anyhow, how was your Thanksgiving, Luke?
Oh, it was very nice. I got to visit my folks and had some nice dinner because Mom and Mom always were cooks. And then I volunteered to decorate their 30-foot tall pine tree in their front yard.
And how was that? It
was a task. But I was able to do it, but I'm still not satisfied with what I did. It needs work.
I got you, man. I totally got you.
I
totally got you. Mine was, let's just say that I didn't have one, if that makes any sense. I decided to, forsake it until I either get employed or I find something better to do. I did get a call back from another company, and they're going to contact me. I guess got to pass this drug test that's coming up, which shouldn't be too hard. I passed that easily. But with Ruger, not working with them anymore. They weren't paying enough fast enough, so I had to, find the next best thing. And just so happened the next best thing is still down here. So I think I'm going to be staying in the valley for a bit longer. That or until I find something better. Again, I'm sorry, but I can't choose what I want to do. I have to work to live as opposed to live to work. Well, I have to do a little bit of both, let's say. Anyhow, speaking of work, Joshua Fluke is doing a really, really good job on calling out a lot of this bullshit that we see in the office politics nowadays. Everybody and their dog wants us to go back to California. Everybody and their dog wants us to go back into our fucking wagey cagey. And everybody and their dog is saying, no, we're not going to do it. There's no reason for us. Like again, and I'll say this as a conservative. I am pro working away from the office, working from home. There's so much of the tasks, like whether it be coding or network administration or any of that crap, could easily be done remotely. Easily can be done remotely. I've worked at some companies I'm not exactly the most on the best terms with. Let's just say that they were key escrows. They manage other people's systems. They can do that. It's easily done. The issue is what's going to happen with all these freaking these middle managers and all the rent seeking people, like the people who actually rent out and push policies to work on site because they have a diminishing office space because it doesn't have any value, right? If everyone works from home, all those, they can't make rent. Like Apple would have to give up their freaking space station, which I'll just say it right now. Infinite Loop was just as good as an office. In fact, Infinite Loop has character because it's the first office that these fuckers actually made. But Joshua Fluke, Luke, play it.
This
Good
actually
old
reminds
Luke.
me of what Aaron Clary said. I forget what if it was the enjoy the decline or curse of the high Q. But he raised a question that everyone has to ask, like, why do we even drive to work anymore? Considering how technology works, why can't we just work from home? But then they had to raise the question, because how is the boss supposed to see you working?
Yeah, exactly. How is he supposed to see us working if we're constantly, and again, here's the thing. Most of the time at work, you're not actually working. You're waiting for your next task. And that can be done remotely.
Office space. I'd say I get about 2 hours of actual genuine work.
You see, it's not that I'm lazy, Bob. It's just I don't care.
You don't care? What do you mean you don't care?
Look at it from my perspective. If I push a few extra units, I don't see another dime. Now, where's the motivation? I have 4 bosses, Bob.
I beg your
4.
pardon?
And if I mess up, 4 bosses.
4 bosses.
And if I mess up, yeah. And if I mess up, I get a letter from each and every one of them. That will only make someone work long enough to actually not get fired. And there you go. I can't remember the whole thing.
Would you be
script,
interested?
But we got pretty close.
Would you be interested in working with stock options?
Nah, I don't know, man. Hey, enjoy your layoffs.
Anywho.
I remember that part. Let's get into it.
Here we go. So what is this all about?
Go subscribe. If you're young, if you're like a Zoomer, subscribe to Joshua Fluke and subscribe to Aaron Clary. Because these guys are on the same wavelength, except he's a Zoomer. I think he's either a millennial or a Zoomer. I think he's a Zoomer given his Zoomer lights in the background.
Which means he doesn't have boomer tech issues.
No, it means it means he's fully augmented with the machine. He's become one with the machine. He's an edge runner now. He doesn't remember the pre-internet days.
He's Darth Vader of the modern era.
General Grievous.
Oh dear.
Just yeah.
It seems like companies are just getting more and more desperate to get their employees back into their depreciating real estate assets. So today I thought it would be fun to take a look at all of the desperate videos using novelties to try and convince you to work in the office. So the first one we have here is Advanced Business Solutions, and they sell Xerox machines still somehow. Time goes by fast. We're nearing the end of renovation. I wanted to share with you all the progress.
Don't diss Xerox, mate. Don't diss Xerox. Xerox is still a better fucking company when it comes to printers and scanners and whatnot.
Well, that's
legitimately,
because you have to handle the paperwork, and Xerox handles that very greatly. Don't you need a space to keep it all in?
Yeah, you do. And at the same time, if you look at all the proprietary crap, like let's say your HP inkjet printer, whatever the fuck you have, it gets an update. If it knows it needs an update and it can't connect to the network, it will literally turn off on you. It is subscription based. You don't own it. You own it physically, but you can't operate it. So Xerox, I have not seen any issue with that. Same thing with Brother, same thing with a few others, but like HP and all these like name brand companies, they legitimately they're just spyware essentially. Well, not even spyware. They're literally anti right to repair. So don't use them. Use Xerox. Keep going.
In this office, I would convince you to make a 20-minute, 40-minute, or even hour commute. So this is
hello, Holy Mystic.
Room that looks like
hello, Ghost. Staying in the valley with the Valley Girls. Yes, keep going. Just keep going.
Work there. The first one is you can enjoy financial rewards. Well, you're not just working for fun. You can enjoy the empowerment of self-employment. Brainwash yourself into thinking you're self-employed while working for me. Representatives have assigned territories, which
isn't that what the MLMs do?
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, you and I have worked before for certain DoorDash and shit like that. We've done that as a side gig. I wouldn't consider that self-employed, even though technically I am managing my own hours and
you are technically
schedule,
a freelancer, right? So you're not technically self-employed.
Ugh, shit. And we get poor internet streaming, which is fine.
It doesn't make you self-employed in any capacity. Sorry, ABS Solutions. So we have Quantrix Enterprises here. It says, take a sneak peek of our dynamic workspaces where innovation and collaboration thrive. Gotta love those buzzwords. Love where you work with a Q. Okay. Does anything about this?
Oh, cutesy.
Cutesy. Yeah, look at that. That's a back room. That's like a actual like back room where like they have like a little bit of like harvesting space so you don't starve or die in the back rooms. That's what that looks like. It looks like a cultivation garden from the back rooms.
We have some grass
Yeah.
set on a table there, and some blank walls in a few different time zones, but it doesn't matter because you're inside. A gym at work? Wow, that's collaboration and innovation. Before we unravel more secrets about...
As if anyone ever uses them.
No, I actually can tell you stories about that. As somebody who was a contract worker most of his life, when we go to these like tech companies like IBM, HP, Hewlett Packard, frickin' Amazon, and all these other places like Netflix, they have gyms. You're not allowed to go to them because you're a contractor, and if you fall, God forbid, by your own bullshit on a treadmill, it's a liability. So you can't use it. If you, let's say, pull a muscle on the job doing weightlifting by your own free time, you don't get the benefit. There's a lot of discrimination that happens. And I'll tell you this, the corporations, again, are the ones fucking us, and the conservatives are the ones backing the corporations. No joke. Liminal spaces rock. Yes, they do, Holy Mystic. Armored Ghost says, are Zoomers the last generation push to collapse society? No, they're not. But I do believe that they are the ones who will inherit whatever we decide to create. Because let's be frank with ourselves, the millennials are going to be the new boomers. I hate to say it.
Yeah,
We kind of are.
I mean, liminal spaces are rock as long as they're in horror movies. Otherwise, they make no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Pretty
everyone's
much.
as the boomers beginning to die off, they're going to be replaced by us, and then they'll be replaced by the following, and every generation will be separated by political conditioning and miseducation. And it's like, oh, we're just going to redo the whole thing all over again.
All this has happened before, and all this will happen again. It has to happen.
And so before we pass on to judgment, we might as well make the world a better place.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons why, again, I would highly recommend any Zoomer or anyone who's just interested, go subscribe to Aaron Clary, go subscribe to Joshua Fluke. Again, a lot of the times when I share these videos, I do it mostly as a reaction, and at the same time because I add stuff to it. So skip ahead a bit because I don't let's skip to like the final quarter of the video. There we go. Because I want you guys to watch it. There we go.
Zero privacy.
There we go.
How about here? Nope, I see sardines in a can attempting to look happy because HR said there's going to be a photo taken. Oh, yes, don't forget about the meme rooms, or the Zen Zone, as they call it. The creativity and innovation of the
Oh, I've been to some of those.
That or something.
Yeah.
Join our team. Want a different career where you can learn, grow, and influence innovation and change? You know it's going to be good when they put a picture of some dude's first day and the little welcome thing across their monitors, and they're like, oh, thanks, I'm going on the front page for a careers page? That's great. Trip.com group. Together we'll shape the future. Join us at our Bangkok office, a hub of innovation and collaboration. Okay, let's just look at the photos. Innovation and collaboration right here, where everyone's looking over your shoulder from up there, over here, everywhere. Yep, that's a place where you can eat some food, I guess. Innovation and collaboration. But when we were all growing up, our dream job, our dream careers was to sit in this little cubicle right there. Every day. This looks glorious. Nope. We've hinted at our office.
My dream job was to work for Apple. My dream job was to work for Apple at one point. And I did technically.
but no one tells you this. Like, they don't say what a workspace is. No one really prepares you or gives you a general idea. I mean, the only hint I had about the work environment is the negative impressions I had from movies and television shows. How it's drab and miserable and you wish you want to quit as soon as possible.
I mean, fucking Office Space is a goddamn documentary, isn't it?
Of course, the problem is I never liked Office Space as a kid when I was growing up.
I remember being told to watch it by my aunt. She basically recommended it as a movie that if you're depressed, you should watch. That's the movie I get when I get laid off. The movie when I look for a job. Guess what it is? Mm-hmm. Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, that's the one that I want because that's the one that everyone wants. Everyone wants to fuck Margot Robbie before she became mid.
But that's the ultimate disappointment because you figure that at least the education world would tell us what a job is, but they don't tell us. We find out through personal experience and entertainment, and it's never it's always a system shock when we leave the classroom and go into work.
Nah, boomers will retroactively be viewed as strong men who held society together. Between, what's his name? Not Chuck Schumer. What the hell is his name? Oh, Mitch McConnell. Mitch, you better give me my money, right? The fucking turtle man. Between him spurting out and just, freezing up because he's too much of a fucking coward. And, what's her name? Nancy Pelosi. Didn't she get cancer or something, right? Did she finally kick the bucket? And then we have Biden who Biden is Biden. And then Trump, of course. I'll be frank with you. Again, I'm pro-MAGA, but I want to go after Trump. I want Trump to basically be not the figurehead, but to be a symbol of something to come. I do believe that Trump. I'm looking for life after Trump. Trump is not our savior. Only Jesus is our savior. Jesus is our only king. I don't know. Let's keep going.
Jern Ray before, but wow, it does really put it into perspective looking back at these photos at how far we've come. They started off in what looks to be a 4chan basement, and then we've progressively moved to one with a window, so there's sunlight maybe touching grass at this point. And then we moved to a gray, lifeless cube-looking room, and then they decided transparency wasn't for them except for the windows in the office. Yes, I love it when companies brag about spending thousands of dollars.
Oh,
on
I've seen
glass
those.
cubes for you to sit and have a private phone call. Seriously, if you don't believe me, type in privacy work booth on Google.
Wait, what is that?
That's a private phone booth. It's designed so you can go and you can have a private place to conduct your interviews and your phone conversations.
Oh, okay.
And look,
I'm not kidding when I say a lot of this technology, a lot of this, like, again, this is what you're dealing with. The companies will actually.
$8,000.
It's literally the price of my car. It's literally the price of my car. And I guarantee
some of these are as much as a low-end car.
Some of these you could actually live in some cases. These would be like perfect, like that $19,000 one. Just put that on let's say the side of the road somewhere, and that's your fucking home.
In California, you could probably buy that, put that on your property, and sell it as a unit.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Ghost says no more geriatrics in office. I agree. Ghost, life after Trump is right now. It is, exactly. And the clock is ticking over and over and over again, slowly but surely. So, now is the time to act. Because I'll tell you, I really, I voted for Trump. And I wanted to meme the motherfucker into office. And I did, and nothing really got done under Trump. There are many things.
Something was kind of done, though, I have to say. Because I was on Beckloff's live stream as soon as we got off of ours. And he made the observation, he made the offhand comment about how America basically died on 9/11. And I was curious about what he meant by that. And apparently, it's kind of like, the way he described it, I'll just rephrase what he said. It's kind of like living in a good neighborhood, and then the power goes out, and you realize your neighbors are always going to turn on you the second the power goes out. Like, oh, there's no trust. The trust was always superficial. It was never there.
Yeah, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists, and we get to decide what the terrorists are, don't you know?
And that's what
it literally is.
And that's ultimately what Trump did. That's like the next level of what Trump did. It made us like, oh, everyone is like this. It's not. It was just as long as everyone was maintaining the narrative, we could all pretend to get along.
Trying to think of what movie it was. I think it was either called Siege or Under Siege with Denzel Washington.
What was that one?
The one with Denzel and Bruce Willis, right? Yeah, Siege. That's what it was called. Yes. Have you ever seen that film?
What was that about?
It was about Islamic terrorists in New York, and essentially what happens is they turn Manhattan into a police state.
I don't remember that. I gotta look that one up.
Oh yeah, you can look it up. It's a good film. I mean, I would play the clip, but we all know that YouTube is very copyright sensitive when it comes to certain even trailers. I mean, I could tell you to go watch, let's say, Gigantor or some anime, and those bastards will fucking, even if I show the trailer and say this is what it's.
Oh wow, it's a 1998 movie, so this is even before 9/11.
There's a reason why people say
there's the Twin Towers in the poster.
Yep, and people are like, the conspiracists are just going rampant with it. And even though the fucking Twin Towers were one of the reasons you go to New York, besides the Chrysler Building, right?
Wow.
It's one of the few, and the Statue of Liberty, and then of course the Verrazano Bridge, which I believe is in New York. I'm not entirely sure if it's in the state.
I wonder if Siege was a precursor to 9/11 in the same way that a Contagion was a precursor to COVID.
When you have the evil bastards in Hollywood basically create, propaganda for people, the idea of predictive programming becomes more and more possible. I mean, look, I talk about how Call of Duty has been nothing but fucking propaganda, and it is propaganda. I mean, for fuck's sake, Verdansk is the Donetsk region in Ukraine, and you have these fucking American operators and even some Latin American operators running around in Ukraine stopping Russian ultranationalists. Tell me, have you heard that before? In the news. Oh, yeah, there it is. Siege.
On November 6th, freedom is history. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. You get a little bit close to the target on that one. Wolf says, I'm at work, so I can't really get deep into details, but Zoomers are not the future. I've worked with hundreds now, and most have the same personality and have less beliefs than Tim's Pinky. Oh shit. Well, at least does this Tim's robotic brain that he keeps underneath his freaking. Actually, Tim is kind of Double D, isn't he? He kind of is Double D from freaking Ed and Eddie. Like, no one knows what's underneath that freaking hat, that beanie. It kind of is. It's really weird.
So but, are the Zoomers like the weak men from the Quadrant of Time progression?
Oh no, they're the ones who would sell out the Moloch. They're the ones who would do it because it's hip, don't you know? It's hip on TikTok. Keep playing it. Let's play this one out.
Just to have a little bit of privacy, because open offices just have so much creativity flowing through them, you might get distracted or something. And I guess this post is written from the point of view of the HR lady because it's pretty simpy. We are so grateful that Dan and Jamie, I guess the owners, have provided us with this cool creative space to come to every day. Creative space. You have some privacy vending machines that you can sit in that cost thousands. You have an open office with zero privacy. You have a meeting room with zero privacy. I think at this point, I'll just take the 4chan basement room. But wait, it gets even better. The value that they've added to us as employees is huge. Man, look at all of this value. We can't wait to fill this space with more members of our family. They give you a glass box.
I hate when corporations do that.
They never called me family back in California. They never did.
Instead, I worked at companies.
I've been called...
I basically, or either that, or I work in companies where they try to get you to use the language of the corporate language. Like, what was it? Like, you have to refer to them as, refer to people as certain things, customers as certain things, and procedures as certain things. Like a cult. It's like so weird.
They want you to grok the vernacular, don't you know?
Yeah.
They want you. They don't want. They literally are going to go full Trekkie and say you will call the woman sir.
Although
I'm not even joking.
Although to be fair, the place that I'd had that one was a place that was owned by Scientologists, so that might explain a lot.
Zoomers are desperately seeking purpose and identity. It's why they latch on to anything and everything. Extremely angry too. Oh, dude, I'd be pissed off if I was a Zoomer. Can you imagine that you're coming into your final year of high school in 2020, and then you're like, we're gonna kick the world, we're gonna own the world, that's gonna be awesome, and then 2020 happens, and then you don't even get to have a prom. Guess what, Zoomers? Proms are overrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
Chair and some desks.
Yeah.
And then last but not least here, the most organic photo I have to show you of an engineering office, and it comes to you from USA Architects, Planners, whatever. We are so glad to have hosted the Easton area high school students at our Easton office once again. The students got a tour of the office and heard from several USA team members about the inner workings of an architectural firm. It was a pleasure to share a peek into the industry, and we hope it ignited a spark in the students to pursue the careers they're truly passionate about. First of all, you can see these kids just dying inside already, thinking about their future, these little cubes. But second, it looks like the two people that are working there totally forgot that they were having this. It's like, oh shit, that was today. Oh yeah, welcome high school students. We're glad to have you and host you and hope you can figure out a career that is as enjoyable as mine. Can't you just see how it ignited their passion to GTFO? And don't forget, it's hashtag powered by purpose. Everyone in this photo looks hashtag not powered at all.
Honestly, dude, I'm not using LinkedIn anymore. Like, I really do think LinkedIn is to blame for this. Like, for all the talk about, how 4chan is a host for trolls and Tumblr is full of SJWs, LinkedIn is full of cat moms. Cat moms and HR winos, HR harlots, so to speak. And, some of them don't even have the balls to actually update their fucking LinkedIn profile to actually match the description. I spoke to an HR lady who said that she had 5 years and she has only been there for less than 2 months. Not going to say names, but we all know who you are. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to something a bit else, something a bit different.
All right, what is
see.
The next subject?
Well, let's talk about. There's some good news. We got Chainsaw Man in office. Apparently, Argentinian Chainsaw Man.
Oh yeah,
you know about this.
The quote. Depending on when you ask the base libertarian.
No, he's an anarcho-capitalist.
Oh, that's even better.
The motherfucker. Here he is. And by the way, I can't let me just say this. Like, everyone says Chainsaw Man. I'm like, this is the fourth Doctor. I don't know about you, but this is the fourth Doctor right here. Let me see if I can. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I'm the Doctor. Doctor Who?
Yeah, they honestly, the freaking how should we say it? The grain on the cameras and whether it be the Hollywood cameras in Argentina, the TV cameras, it makes him look like he is of that decade. I mean, just look at this shit, dude.
Unfortunately, when I saw that chainsaw, I was reminded of Leatherface.
Leatherface?
Is that what chainsaw guy from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. The one with Arlie Ernie in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in that. And there we go. Ministry of Education and Indoctrination, out.
Out.
Ministry of Transportation, out. Afuera. Afuera. You see it now, don't you? Without the fedora and the little scarf. Like, he literally looks like he's the fourth.
Yes,
Look at
yes.
that.
Hold on, let me put this
He's
on
the fourth Doctor.
Let me put it on the screen.
He's
Oh,
the fucking
please.
fourth Doctor.
Oh, come on, let me take a picture. Come on. Ah, stupid.
He's
app.
using his sonic chainsaw, his cyber chainsaw to kill the fucking the Cybermen.
Oh, come
with
on.
dialects.
Come on, app. Don't mess with me now.
Don't mess with us, man.
This is going to be fun.
Wait.
Let's see. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Don't be shy.
And LinkedIn used to be quieter, strictly professional website. Now it's like Facebook. You know, I don't know about that. I mean, I won't post like it's Facebook, but part of me thinks I should start shit posting and just fucking see where the chips lie. I mean, that'll be my last hurrah, so to speak, on that platform. Is I start shit posting and being a terrible human being, which just means being normal for these people.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Play it. I want to hear what he has to say.
Oh, collectivists, all kinds of collectivists. But why do you call them? Because they are. You can't say that. You definitely from them. They will kill you. This is the point.
They will. Yes, they will. They will exterminate you. You will either conform to them and join the collective, whether it be. Actually, I don't know much about Doctor Who, honestly, but like I'm sure there's a metaphor or allegory in there. But what's interesting is that he's the Chainsaw Man. Now, if you know anything about Chainsaw Man, if you know anything about the lore of it, right? Chainsaw Man, like his power is basically to erase anything from history. That's one of his powers, right? Like he can literally kill anything, and if he eats it, it goes away forever, essentially, right? GOP equals Democrat light. Yes, it is. And I'll tell you this: until you get some young people together and actually build whether it be a young people's party or something, even if BLM, and again, I don't like BLM. I personally think they're grifters and con men. If they actually got together and say, we're going to make our own party, the Black People's Party or some shit like that, I'd have more respect for them. Not because I agree with their ideology, but because at the end of the day, they're actually breaking the mold. Even like Karen Borisenko, she broke the mold and no one liked her because of it. All at the same time, she's kind of SJW-esque and kind of Christophobic at the same time. She really doesn't like Christians. But I'll keep playing it.
I will kill you. This is the point. You can't give leftists an inch. No, you can't. If you give them an inch, they will use it to destroy you. Yes. Can't negotiate with leftards. You don't negotiate with... What was that last one? You don't negotiate... Come on, tards. You don't negotiate with trash because they will end you.
Yeah. He's also said some stuff about he doesn't want to work with China.
Smart.
He's not interested in working. Yeah, smart. Like, let's get off the Chinese welfare fucking state. Let's get off of it. Let's be our own people and bring back industry to the United States and to our own countries.
Mm-hmm.
If not for for fucking survival. Keep in mind, America. Again, he says. Woodford Prepper said that was mistranslated. He says communists and not collectivists. Oh. Okay, which is very interesting. Which
nuance there, but they're effectively the same. But I appreciate the nuance. Thanks.
But look at the fucking similarity between him and the Fourth Doctor. They look identical. Just give him a little fedora and a little scarf, and he'll be all good. Freaking insane!
Let's see, if I can think of a good line of the Fourth Doctor.
I don't watch Doctor Who. I know it's I got turned in my nerd cards, but I don't watch him.
Oh, here, absolute Mad Lab for 3 minutes. What is he doing?
We're gonna hit with the BBC on that one.
I won't show it.
BBC's.
Let me see. Listening to his heart on a heart reader, and what happens?
Heartbeat? Should it mother? Mother. I feel sick.
They're doing jump rope with a doctor.
Oh, come on.
He's kind of a loon.
Well, Well, you know, at least he's one of us, right? He's a shitlord like us.
I think
Anyhow.
the post-regeneration energy is hitting too hard.
What good it was, it might just... Doctor,
Oh, boy.
Doctor, will you please pay attention?
Oh, but I am, I assure you.
Yeah, he's paying attention, all right. Let's see. So, what else can we talk about? Okay, here's one for you. So, I've talked about Abu the Muslim Pimp, and apparently Abu the Muslim Pimp, you know, he's becoming more and more like Charlie Manson every fucking day. He really does. Like, you could just, like, tell me if we took this script and we, like, were put it through a, let's say, AI, and we make Charlie Manson actually speak for Abu the Muslim Pimp.
What?
Tell me if this doesn't come off like something that Charlie Manson would say, like how Charlie Manson will dodge anything anytime you accuse him of something.
Mm-hmm.
Same concept.
Is what Hamas did on October the 7th an act of terrorism?
I think, Piers, it is peddling entities for you to pretend that enslaving
Do you sound
people...
like Jeremy Corbyn?
No, let me answer the question.
15 times he refused to answer the
Let
question.
me answer the question.
You're now up
I'm
to
not
about...
refusing.
You're now
If you
about
look-
3 or 4.
If you look...
Are they a terror group or not?
They're one team's freedom fighter, and they're deemed a terrorist
What do you
group.
think?
Oh boy. I mean,
Get him, Piers.
he's an NPC of the left. It's just like anyone who's pro-Palestine will say this. It's
Yeah, I mean, fucking what's his name? Hassan, the fucking Modern Warfare 2 villain, quite literally has gone on record saying, "We don't care. We don't care. We'll burn it all to the ground." And I'll tell you this: this is the moment where you have to bail on the left, because this whole Israeli-Palestine thing, I'm for one pro getting rid of the Palestinian Autonomous Zone. They should just clear that shit out and throw it all in a goddamn dumpster at Gehenna and burn the fucking thing. And then
this guy who's supposedly breaking the Matrix is all of a sudden quoting the Matrix. Ooh, how revolutionary!
well, he's not. He's a pimp. He's a magical pimp. He was trained by the best. He was trained by Iggy of all people. You know,
Sure.
the actual magician of the inner circle or the men's circle, what have you.
Of course.
And of course, I love this. Timberwolf X, Timberwood X says, "I want to see Ben Shapiro debate Andrew Tate." No, that'll never happen. Because Andrew Tate, at the end of the day, is just he's the millennial equivalent of Charlie Manson. That's what he is. And you can see it how he dodges it. Keep going.
I think that if you lock people in an open-air prison and steal their land, they're going to retaliate.
So they're not a terror group.
I think they're going to retaliate.
They're not a terror group.
One team's terrorist is enough.
Okay, we're now about
So just say
Are they a
no.
terror group?
So come on, Tate, be a man. Just say no.
Be a man, Abu. Come on. Man up, buddy. Let's just say yes or no. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Oh, he got him.
Oh, what's that?
He got him. Keep playing it.
They're a terror group.
And also, another thing I want to make clear to you, Piers.
Only Jeremy Corbyn has done this.
Done what?
Refused to answer the question.
I think that what they are doing is seemingly deemed an act of terror by the people that the terror...
Don't use Weasley words.
They're not Weasley. Of course the Israelis think they're a terror group, and of course the Palestinians think they're freedom fighters. It's stupid that you're asking the question.
Most of
because
the
it's clear.
civilized world thinks they're a terror group who committed an act of terrorism. It's not difficult. What they did was an act of terrorism.
And I think that if Israel continues to...
Dubai doesn't count as civilized. Dubai doesn't count as civilized. Like, I've seen so many Dubai porta potties on Instagram lately that, like, legitimately, I feel bad for these girls. It's because they have money. It boils down to money. The moment the money dries up is the moment those women will dry up. Giggity.
Terrorism on the Palestinian people, they're going to do nothing but strengthen the reaction.
That's a different conversation I'm about to have with you. That is your response. But before I get there, one more time, is Hamas a terror group who committed an act of terrorism?
I think that when you lock people in an open-air prison, you're going to have
You're not going to answer.
retaliation.
You're not
No, because
gonna
I have to... There's people who are...
So is that a yes?
No, it's not. It's Charlie Manson, yes. It's him. I'm not kidding. I expect Abu at some point in the near future to start dancing for the camera. He has that type of chaotic energy to him, and he'll do it too. That's what the little monkey will dance, but only on his terms.
First thing, I want to say...
You don't mind me saying, I think it's spineless.
Sure.
I do.
That's fine.
You sound like Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, that is an
Did you see my interview with him?
No.
Right, 15 times last week, I asked him the same question. 15 times, he prevaricated and wouldn't answer. Eventually, when someone does that enough times, you know what they really think.
Okay.
You don't think they're a terror group.
Let me answer...
You don't think they're a terror group.
No, what I think is this. On certain...
Because I'd be really curious what you think an act of terror is if it's not massacring 1,500 innocent people,
It's not
including Holocaust survivors,
Piers.
kidnapping babies,
Piers.
decapitating
Piers.
people, cutting their limbs
Piers.
off, raping women.
Yeah, talk about missing limbs. We're going to talk about that when we talk about...
We are, but when we get there, it'll be in the context of you not admitting that was an act of terror.
Well, let me answer the question for the final time. I am a realist. And as a realist, sometimes you do not come to the conclusion of labeling good guys and bad guys. The world is not black and white.
That is to say, I'm a pragmatic nihilist.
You know, how about good actions and bad actions? Was it a good action for them to fly in and fucking chop up a bunch of people, rape a couple of Jews, and then play the victim and then hide behind fucking, you know, the Red Cross? Quite literally in this regard, they're literally going into hospitals and whatnot, knowing full well that it's a war crime to bomb a mosque, to bomb a synagogue or a church or something that has nothing to do with the war effort. And these Muslims don't care. And I said, Muslims. This is Muslim shit. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Armored Ghost says, no Malai, I don't want no Malai, don't want no scrubs. He don't want no scrubs, indeed. Andrew Tate is Irini's distant cousin. I don't know. I think, aren't they like both like wetbacks or something? Like they both are immigrants. Like one's an Italian that came to Canada. Figure that one out. Flake Tillman. That awkward moment when British pundits start talking about Palestine on camera. Yeah. You know, again, I hate to be the guy who says this. By the way, welcome, Flake. Welcome. Honestly, I am 100% pro-Israel. You can hate me all you want for that. But at the end of the day, the Palestinian autonomous zone needs to be removed. And before people start saying, well, who gets to decide statehood? That's Antifa talk. It really is Antifa talk. Like, and if you look at the origins of the Palestinian conflict, and you look into Nasser and all those guys, they were all, you know, backed by the Soviet Union. The whole reason why this whole Palestinian conflict is a remnant of the Cold War. It really is. Lawrence of Romania. That's what he. No. Lucian is Lawrence. Lucian is the Lawrence of Romania, or rather the Vlad the Impaler, so to speak. Wolfram Pepper says there are Christians in Palestine that have lineage back to the time of Christ. It isn't all Muslims, and also contains groups of people driven out of their homes. Not a single people. Indeed, and that's why I'll just say it right now. If properly marketed to the Palestinians, we should take their women and their children, not the men, just the kids, but like young boys. They can stay at the freaking combat zone because Lord knows they're going to pick up an AK and shoot at Jews. But your women and all those cute little Arabian chicks, we'll take them because that's how it should be treated. You guys are fleeing a combat zone. Women and children first. Oh, men, you're staying there. You're going to fight for your land, and don't be a pussy about it. And you can sell it to them too, because I will gladly accept, you know, Christian girls from the Middle East who actually know conflict. Some Muslim chick, well, depends. Lawrence of Arabia is gypsy.
Yeah, but I mean, we know how this is going to work. They're going to have an emotional, like a moral crisis, and no, we have to get all those people out, and we have to give them refugee status.
No, we're not going to give them all refugee status. No, I would rather have a bunch of Muslim women, because let's be frank with ourselves. Some of these Muslim women are just as degenerate as the fucking men. The difference here is they haven't had an opportunity to be a degenerate because they've been, you know, locked up in a fucking cage, a gilded cage all their life. And yeah, I will literally call it a gilded cage. But
of course, the best case scenario is that Israel just wipes out Hamas and we wait until the next terror group infiltrates the Palestinians.
Which will happen sooner rather than later. I want to say at, let's say, 7 minutes and 45 seconds in.
45 seconds, all right.
Yep. There we go.
And under no even mildly serious reading of just war theory, can you defend what Hamas did? Keep going.
Let me ask you a question. I want to understand your point
It's
of view.
actually my interview of you.
Yeah, but you tried to understand mine. I just want to understand your point of view. If I believe, or Israel believe, that one of the people in your house was a terrorist and decided to destroy your entire house and kill your entire family,
Abu,
say, well,
Abu, you can't conflate the individual with the organization, you silly little monkey. If I said that the guy down the way who ripped me off at, let's say, the liquor store is a terrorist, who gives a fuck? That's my opinion. If the CIA niggas decide to say it, well, then you have a problem, don't you? But the fact he just conflates the individual with the collective, he does this all the time. You can catch him too and call him out on it, Piers. Do it.
But he'll do the reverse when it comes to like defending his position, though.
Of course he will. Of course he will, because at the end of the day, these people are losers. Without their money, they ain't shit. And by the way, they say how many Bugattis you have, or is it Bugatti? I think it is. It's some foreign car. That's not a good heuristic to measure a man's wealth. Cars are liabilities. You could ask anybody, from the guy who owns a Ford pickup truck to a guy who has a Toyota Camry, they are fucking liabilities. You have to get insurance for them. You have to maintain them. And if they're an exotic car, like a BMW,
started.
Oh, dude, can you imagine what the repair and maintenance would be for like a BMW? Now amplify that to a Bugatti. Are you fucking crazy?
You don't even need to go that far. Just get an electric car.
Yes. Fuck, keep going.
I accept that. Or would you be enraged? Genuine question.
I don't think you can take an individual person's response.
Well, it's a bunch of individual people in Gaza. There are people, individuals with thoughts and dreams and aspirations which are being annihilated. 15-year-old girls without legs that cruise missiles. They are individual people. They're not cattle.
Let's come to
They're
that.
people.
Right, and so were the people in Israel.
And that's why it's so heinous, which is my exact point.
But not heinous enough to reach your bar of terrorism.
It's not about bar of terrorism. It's understanding why things happen.
By not saying it, you've made your position clear. Just as Jeremy Corbyn did. And to pretend you're any different is ridiculous.
Yeah, Andrew Tate is almost making a point, which is a criticism of the Israeli policies in Gaza, or the fact that Gaza has effectively been a kind of an open-air prison, or the recognition that it's basically...
Don't call it an open-air prison, Michael. Seriously.
What you can't make an argument for is that Hamas is not a terrorist group. They do, if that word has any meaning at all, they are terrorists. And then he falls back on one of the stupidest platitudes. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, which is to just concede our entire reason. It's to say, no, we can't. There's no such thing as objective truth. We can't look at this in any way detached from our own personal passions about a subject. That's not true.
Which ultimately undermines his argument, too. Because if one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, well, then the Israelis have better freedom fighters and better terrorists.
Yeah. And as a result of that, here we go. This is a booze position on this right here.
What's this?
Right here.
What is this?
What is this? This is how we do it in the old countries.
Can I show this?
Yes, you can show it.
On your knees. Y'all got a clear picture? Crystal.
All set.
All right. You're live, folks. You speak Arabic?
It's always interesting how with even technology, or how old is this game?
This game came out in 2022.
Yeah, but it's interesting how you can't tell if it's fake until you see the human faces.
Yeah, the faces really do give it away. I mean, honestly, some of this stuff looks photorealistic, but I will say this. One of the things I love doing in these cutscenes is I love to just look at their kit and just get an idea of what they're wearing.
No. Farsi?
No.
Of course not. Then I'll speak your bastardized medieval English. Because you're all uneducated street dogs.
See, we're getting off to a bad start here, son.
You're talking to Al-Quds Force officer.
You're the commander of a foreign terror organization.
I can say the same to you.
What's your target?
Oh.
Major.
What was your target when you sent missiles to my land?
A wild guess, and now your ass.
So insolent and foul-mouthed. You'll learn to respect me when your nation sees fire.
You're in bed with the cartel, son. If you disappeared, no one would know where to look for the fucking stain.
I have no doubt you'll take pleasure in torturing me.
Who'd you get American missiles from? I don't care who they're from. I want to know where they're going.
That's basically what we're dealing with.
Ooh.
And they're in fucking Mexico.
Take a look around, son. Now you can either become part of the food chain, or you can start talking.
Which is the correct response.
This is illegal.
You're a prisoner of war.
Iran is not at war with Mexico. I've broken no laws. These men and their commanders are the lawbreakers.
You and your beloved General Gorbani...
Do not speak his name!
Oh.
Yep.
You executed him and you will pay for your crimes. Allah wahdu qadir ala musa'adak.
I want this...
Shut up, you
bastard in
fucking ape.
permanent custody or looking up at the goddamn grass.
General, killing Hassan is an act of war. Keeping him is illegal right now.
Why are we giving the terrorists fucking the diplomat card? Like, I'm not kidding when I say, imagine if they played the same game with the freaking Antifa. Like, let's say Antifa decides to pull a fucking John Carpenter and they take over New York. Like, they legitimately, from the whole island is basically, of Manhattan is turned into a giant Antifa autonomous zone. Are you really going to be the guy who says, let's negotiate with these guys? No, you go in and you fucking send in a strike team and you literally know Russian this fucking place. You know commie this place. Piers should talk with Sargon. No, he's wasting his time. He doesn't want to lower himself to Sargon's level. That's like the equivalent of, Shapiro talking to Walsh. or God help you, Vosh talking to fucking E. Michael Jones, which what was his name? Beckloff. He didn't have the stomach to go through it. I will, but I'll do it for money. That's the big difference. So if you want to send me some super chats, which I could link my PayPal in the description, I am more than willing to fucking go and just watch the whole fucking thing of E. Michael Jones, basically, try to preach law to the lawless, so to speak. Giggity. But we're gonna move on from here. Let's continue here. Let's see if I can find it here. Let's see what else we got. Okie dokie. What is next? Okay, here's something that's more interesting. I'm glad I got out of California for this type of shit. And I can remember, like, when the again, this is me in my fucking Resident Evil mindset. So I'm trying to get gas grenades and smoke grenades and shit to fight zombies because it's the fucking pandemic, don't you know? Apparently, the ATF doesn't want you to have access to flashbangs or grenades, and they're trying to basically say, "Hey, you can't have this anymore because it's an explosive." Even though technically it's not going to blow up and hurt anyone unless you hold it, and at worst, you'll get a fucking cut. You won't lose an arm or something, right? It's like a firecracker.
So what's the deal?
Well, the ATF is trying to ban. They're unanimously overnight, without any form of Congress passing a law or anything like that. They're just saying, you know what? Guess what? Flashbangs are illegal now, and so are grenades. And I'll tell you this is actually something that needs to be fought against. Like, it's one thing to say SBRs aren't pistols and pistols aren't SBRs, even though I personally think that again, I'm an extremist in this regard when it comes to the Second Amendment. Guns are guns. Whether it's a laser, a phaser, or a fucking musket, it's all the same thing. Or a phaser musket, let's say. They're all the same, and the same thing should go for explosives. Now it gets a bit trickier because instead of trying to defend, let's say, the Second Amendment, everyone focuses on guns. Maybe some body armor here and there, but they never focus on the flashbangs. Here we go. Play it, Luke.
What's all this
from
about?
Mr. Gun and Gear? Go subscribe to Mr. Guns and Gear, by the way. Let's see.
Everyone, today we are talking about the ATF, but doing so in a little bit different way than we typically do here on the channel. Typically, we talk about the ATF and we talk about what they're doing in terms of civil rights, firearms rights, things like that. But today we're not talking about that. We're going to be talking about it in terms of explosives, which is a little bit different actually than firearms in terms of like the law, congressional mandates, things like that.
You can skip ahead, Luke, to I want to say about. Let's get to. I want to say 5 minutes in.
Against police, and the ATF didn't. So recently, many of you know, they have recently prohibited sales of simunitions to civilian and civilian training organizations. That was a month ago, and now they're limiting these, which are also used by civilian training organizations for like preparedness and things like that. And they're saying that it's because of recent encounters with law enforcement. But if you look back on like the Summer of Love, which is recent, right?
So is this illegal?
This should be illegal. It is legal, honestly, because here's the thing about the ATF and why no one likes them. Besides killing dogs and employing potential serial killers, they will randomly, with a wave of their wand, magically make a gun a machine gun. They will literally say because you have a shoe string attached to the pistol, it automatically becomes a machine gun because you could, I guess, fire more rounds than normally. Like bump stocks are machine guns, even though by themselves, without the proper host, which would be a regular gun, it magically becomes a machine gun. Well, apparently the ATF they're crazy in this regard. Wolf says auto steers are getting pretty aggressive regarding auto sensors are getting pretty aggressive regarding the Chosen as of late, getting pretty hard to get around it. Oh, dude. I was actually thinking I got banned by fucking V. Monroe for trying to say Palestinian Autonomous Zone. I couldn't even say Palestinian. Yeah, the PALs. Let's call them the PALs. They're our pals. They're our pals. They're our pals. And just say juice, because juice will never get censored. Juice boxes. The little juice in their boxes, right? Against they don't want to share it with the pals. They don't want to share their juice with the freaking the pals. They don't want to do that. Let's see what else we got. They also have declared They have also declared suppressors to be suppressors. and want to send them your details and pictures if you think you have one. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Don't comply. Like, legitimately, don't comply until there's a criminal charge against you, and then you comply. And that's the best way. I mean, I can't really give you guys any advice because you're not allowed to give advice on here, and plus I'm not a lawyer, right? Ghost says ATF, yeah, Ghost, because we're talking about Hassan, right? And it's Modern Warfare. Of course it's Ghost. No, Ghost, ATF has gone mad. They have. They absolutely have gone mad. Let's see. The ATF acts outside of the law and has very limited oversight. Yeah, they do. I legitimately think we should get some psychological training for some of these people or evaluations because they kill dogs disproportionately, and that's the first sign of a serial killer. So given their tyranny and given how they're acting and what they're doing, I think that some of these people might have a potential criminal angle to them. I'm just saying. Keep playing it.
These devices were on film being used by lots and lots of people against police multiple times, probably hundreds of times.
Oh, it's...
Since then, I don't know why. You guys can read into that what you will, but I just thought it was important to point out. So with that is what's going on. Before we get into what it means for people who have them now, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is the folks at Venture Surplus. So,
which, by the way, I'll just say this. Again, you're better off looking at, let's say, a Modern Warfare 2 game or like a Modern Warfare game and copying their kit. Simply put, because I don't trust any of this extra stuff that they're shilling. Like, unless I actually hold it and see how it's used. Dashing Rose says, "Where's John Steele?" I don't know where John Steele is. I will say this. Apparently, the fucking war is over in Ukraine. Apparently, I don't know if I got the memo on that regard, but I think they took back. Did they take back the freaking Donetsk region? Pretty sure if they did.
Yeah, apparently they've conquered the things they were after.
Who the Russians? The Russians took everything,
or the ones they wanted, basically, supposedly.
Did they retroactively take the ones they wanted just so they could save face, or are they just telling you that? Like, I didn't want your whole country everywhere. Anyway.
That is what I've officially heard.
Well, I've officially heard that the war is still going on, and it's just cooled down to more of a quiet level where they could resupply and basically re-bolster their numbers for another attack. Like, let's say if Biden gets a second term or something along those lines. That's what I've heard. And if that's the case, if it is true that the war is over and the Ukrainians won, which I think that there is an argument that they have, I would, John needs to give me my 100, or I need to give him, we'll talk about it in private, because I put a bet on the fucking Ukrainians, not to say that this war is casual to me. I'm going to give that money to the fucking Ukrainians, right? To help them rebuild their nation. Let's see. Wolf also says, there's a werewolf skin in the new Call of Duty. Just go with that. You will be set. Jesus, why does he want me to be a furry so much? Like, I will say this, though. I have seen furry favoritism in the workplace that he's been talking about. And I do believe if I don the fursona, at least as camouflage, I might actually get another job. A better job, and I might retain it because the furries won't try to. They might try to yiff me, but they're not going to try to kick me out and say I'm a racist or something. Let's keep going. Luke, pass the ad.
And just check them out frequently, because again, does this mean if you have these items? Because again, there are a lot of people out there who have these items, and again, it's not just the stuff. There's a lot of photographers that have these items. Think about like gender reveals and things like that. That is the types of things that we're talking about here. And I should just point out beforehand is the reason the ATF believes that they have the ability to regulate these, which we'll talk about here in a second. There's a company that thinks they don't. But essentially they're saying that the igniters, each device is a little bit different in terms of the ignition, but they're saying that those igniters are explosives in their opinion. So if you have these devices right now,
in their opinion,
let me just back up and explain the normal process. Again, like I said, I have several friends who have their licenses to deal with explosives, make explosives, etc. And unlike an FFL, it's relatively difficult to have the items on hand needed to maintain explosives legally within the ATF's framework. There are certain devices where these items have to be stored. There are specific devices that are mandated by the ATF that have certain features, and they're very expensive. They're cost prohibitive. If you don't want to do that, you can build a structure that meets the certain guidelines for ATF storage of explosive devices. But as you can imagine, that's probably cost prohibitive as well. And so what they're saying right now is that if you own these devices,
only rich people get to have guns. Only the rich get to have guns. It's like they really want to turn this into a feudal Japan. They want to make it so everyone else doesn't have swords because, you know, we could stab people with knives, and Piers knows all about that. And everyone else, the feudal lords, they get to have the revolver. They get to have the coolest guns on the planet. They get to have that Gatling gun because everything else is, you know, for the military only, don't you know? It's insane. Don't comply. You know, you already know not to do that. Everyone says don't comply. And given the fact that, you know, we've been kicking ass, because let's be frank with ourselves, Biden may be the worst president we've ever had, but we've gotten more done for our rights, for gun rights, when it comes to our gun rights in this whole particular Biden presidency. We've won back multiple instances because no one's tolerating it, right? No one's going to take this shit lying down. There are too many people who've already purchased firearms, and now they got the bug. They want to go get themselves their Modern Warfare 2 loadout. They want to get from when they were kids. They want to get the gun that they know is good, like from Halo, of the F-2000, so to speak. Let's see. Armored Ghost says, is text still worth training for, or is it oversaturated? My advice for you is get the A+ and the Network Plus and Security Plus, then just go into the field and hit the ground running. The less overhead cost you use to get into the IT field, the better. If you can, get a CCNA instead of the Network Plus. If you can, that's one of the things I wish I would do. I need to get the CCNA. I still need it. I mean, at the end of the day, unless someone's paying for it, I'm not going to do it because I know that the shit doesn't. It's not good. Okay, like. The things they should hire for, they won't hire for. And the things that they're looking for, like, for all you know, you could just, you know, be nice to the freaking HR person and say, oh, you're so awesome, you're so wonderful, and just gaslight them and love bomb them, and they'll let you in. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but if they really want to, like, they want to put you through the ringer just to see if you're worth it, you get to play the same card. They lied on they say you lied on the resume. Well, they lied on the job description, didn't they? That's how I look at it. Wolfwind Pepper says only 100 people in Japan legally own handguns. If you want an idea, oh yeah, I mean, is that today or is that like just in like feudal Japan? I imagine it's today as well. Holy Mystic, fear not, Rogue. I know if I know. Let's see, fucking for a fact, not all furries are perverts. Okay, I mean, I guess I have furries in my chat. Awesome, more power to me. But anyhow. No, like in all honesty, like there's so much crap going on right now that like I get lost in it. But one of the people who I did look into, and this is actually something I'm happy about. Apparently, the distributist decided to call out James Linsey.
Oh.
Oh yeah, about 1 hour and 3 minutes in.
Did he know?
Yeah. I think James Linsey's a fall guy. I think that Bannon's setting him up to be a fall guy.
I kind of can't believe that this person is a thing. You know, it's always kind of funny when you talk about people like Richard Hanania. I'm not particularly interested in Richard Hanania. The reason I'm not interested in Richard Hanania, it's so obvious he's a grifter. It's so obvious.
I want to see Beckloff take on the distributist. I really want to see that. I want to see Beckloff take on the distributist. I would pay money to see that shit.
Is to kind of be Steven Pinker 2.0. It's kind of say the edgy thing, but not too edgy so that you're outside of political discourse. And in the meantime, shit all over the mainstream populists and dissidents who are making up the majority of the community so that you can portray yourself to the establishment as being potentially the only good guy who sees what's actually going on. There's something that Richard Hanania has really ever said.
Please tell me he's going to clarify this.
But he's gonna talk about it. Keep going.
That Steve Saylor didn't say first and better. And there's no grift that Richard Hanania will pull off in the future that is not going to be better than the grift that Steven Pinker has already pulled off. We already know all quantities involved with Richard Hanania. I'm not particularly curious about him. I am very fascinated about James Linsey. I am very fascinated about James Linsey. Because the guy is an absolute moron. There's no... I mean, I don't know what to say about this man anymore. He's a math PhD. He must have some amount of intelligence. I mean, his understanding of what it means to think is so fundamentally unhinged that I can't even really process it. And it's not like really him. I understand the grift.
By the way, I know the grift too. You have not read all those books. You have not read a single one of those books. I guarantee you.
It's like
No,
it's that line from Thief, the first Thief one, where you're traveling to this library. He just utters out, "Does he have all these books just to look more intelligent?"
Yes, he does. Yes, he fucking.
Although
yes,
it wouldn't surprise me if most of
does.
these books are references.
Well, in fairness, I have the same thing. I mean, I have an occult library at this point, and I have it just to reference, say, this is why your people are full of shit. This is why they're connected to Marxism. This is why I think you guys are Nazis. There you
They're
go.
deeply invested in this whole liberal project, and they'll do anything to stop it from being disrupted. But I feel like
That's actually the criticism that James Lindsay's addressed. But I'll let him talk.
local distance, and even Adam and Sitch insulate themselves a bit better than James Lindsay does. Like nobody who's listening to James Lindsay's podcast is going to be should be. I don't know how you can listen to James Lindsay's New Discourse podcast. Be reasonably aware about how ideas work and still take this man seriously at all.
Well, he is going to get to the point, right?
He is. Just listen to him.
The first thing that took me off about this, and this is kind of a minor thing, is his sort of take on people like Hegel and German idealists. And I've done this too before in the past. Like I was in the whole conservative sphere. You know, I read a little bit of Hegel, Incomprehensible. You know, in fact, I have the book right here on my philosophy shelf. Actually, I have all three of the books here. I took out.
Oh, he does have a use for it.
Book. Yeah, the Show and Tell. Read this book. It's Hegel's Reason and History. I probably got a few insights out of this, like when I read it. There's a few sentences that stand out. But I put the book down like I have no idea what I just read. I had to read a summary of Hegel to figure out what this book actually meant when I read it. And I don't think I'm a stupid person. And you know, this is always the joke about Hegel. I'm reading a Carlyle book which is equally incomprehensible right now, although I'm thoroughly enjoying it, called Sartor Resartus, The Tailor Reached for Taylor by Thomas Carlyle. One of the most, I'm convinced it's the premier postmodern book. No, I'm going to write a review on that later as an essay, hopefully. Everyone subscribe to this.
No one will read it.
Me out, but
no one will read it. Get AI to fucking read it for you. Then I'll listen to it. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to read any of the shit that they put out there. I'm not going to do it. But basically, he says you just don't understand Hegel enough. And I'll tell you this, as a Catholic,
what's to understand? He's the creator of the dialectic.
He's the creator of phenomenology. That's what you should be talking about. And the phenomenology angle, like I actually had a Catholic friend try to say, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with phenomenology. All you have to do is presuppose something is true, and then you get there."
Oh, I forgot what that means.
You start with the premise in phenomenology. What does it mean for fire? What is fire? What is the idea of fire if you've never seen it? You have to describe it: the warmth, the color, the glow, the ambience, the radiance, and then you just go from there. So he said, "Oh, all you have to do is basically start with the premise of something existing, and then you build it up. So if you assume that God is all powerful and all knowing, you could build an idea of what you think God is like." And I said, "Oh, so like white privilege," and then he immediately shuts up. The good Catholic friend immediately just silences. It's like, "Oh shit, you're right." I'm like, and that's a big problem with Catholics, is they think that they're the only ones who get to decide and define terms, never realizing that there are pagans out there and some Catholic and some.
Yeah, so I'm still not clear. Like phenomenology, let's see, is the philosophical study of objectivity and reality as subjective and lived experience. So objective reality is subject to your interpretation of it.
It's Plato's rave, Luke. What's in there? Only what's in the cave, Luke?
Well,
what did Yosa say?
People locked up shadows on the wall.
Only what you take with you. That, like, legitimately. Let's see if I can find it here. I want to get it because it's.
I mean, for me, I like James Lindsay, even though his videos and all his content fall into the category of too long didn't watch, which I call it Tildu. But because I really think that his work said in his lecture should be summarized for public consumption, because there's a lot of information on there. It's just lost in time.
Here we go, Luke.
This
is what you'll encounter when you go into the cave. Here you go. And yeah, I know it's a low blow, but legitimately.
You mean the. Oh, so the Star Wars fight Luke, where the cave in the Yoda's planet where Luke fights Darth Vader, and then becomes himself at the end.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, he went inward. He didn't go outward to see the world. He went inward. So he started with the premise that concepts like, leaves exist instead of just leaves, like a leaf, right? And then you say, well, leaves actually exist. No, they don't. The leaves, the individual leaf exists. You get into a point where you're fighting over terms and like.
It's that stupid thing that like skeptics do when they say, "Oh, there's no such thing as leaf," but like words that can't convey reality because languages are limited. Like, no, languages can convey reality, and we'll deal with that at a later date because they're starting subjectively and I'm starting objectively.
Exactly. You start with your five senses, and then you define your terms, grammar, logic.
Well, I mean, if you follow James Linsey's videos, you realize that Hegel didn't really invent phenomenology. He basically popularized and made it official or scientism it. What's the word? Scientified it, or what's the word I can make up?
He glamorized it, maybe.
Probably, or gave it legitimized it. That's what I should say.
And what's in Plato's cave if you don't try to seek truth outside of with your five senses? What's in there, Luke? 2.5.
2.5. Oh.
Or 2 minutes and 5 minutes. 2 minutes and 5 seconds in to the clip I sent you.
2 minutes and 5. Oh, 2 minutes and 5 seconds in.
Yep.
See.
What's in there?
Only what you take with you.
So if you go into Plato's rave, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, these are all people fighting for my self-interest." No, they're not. They're just as clueless as you are.
So how does that relate to James Linsey then?
Well, it relates to not James Linsey, but it relates to, how should we say it, Hegel. It relates to him because if you're seeking idealism, you have to remember that you're only human, and your perception of words can only describe, and you can only imagine what God's like. But, people can, if you build on the logical premise that things like white privilege does exist, if you accept that premise, you'll get lost. You'll get lost in Plato's rave, Well,
I mean, you have to have a persuasive conviction of that, because the way Gnostics work on you is they play on the certain experiences you have, because Gnosticism teaches the idea that reality is a prison created by evil God, and if you can play on the emotional sense of, sometimes life is a prison, so therefore there'll be some truth in that. Or the alternative, as I think the Wolf guy for the Marxist teacher, Tom Wolfe, I think his name is, he says people who leave work with an innate sense that they've been ripped off are right. They just haven't gotten the training to know why they've been ripped off.
Right. They don't have the They don't have the language to grok their vernacular.
They don't have the gnosis.
Yeah, they don't have the gnosis of the neurosis, so to speak. Let's see what I got here. Language allows people to grasp or miss reality. Exactly. So if you go into Plato's rave thinking that white privilege exists, you'll eventually find people say, yeah, I've been oppressed by whitey before. I've been screwed over by a few Jews. Maybe there is a global cabal trying to get me. And you never start with the actual data. You start with the premise and you build up on there, always being lost in the cave. And like Yoda said, your weapons, you don't need them.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a line from, I don't remember if it was an actual Marvel comic, but someone said something to the effect that if you keep looking for the worst in people, you will eventually find it.
Yep. The deepest pits of all monsters are human beings.
So is he just calling him? Is Distributus just calling him out because he says, "Oh, I can't understand Hegel, and therefore how can he understand Hegel?"
You just haven't read enough. You're just not educated enough in this endeavor.
That's his argument.
Play it.
That's my own play. I have to.
But then again, I do take issue with Distributus because his argument for why, I actually asked him a super chat question of why he wasn't a Protestant, and his argument was, I don't believe that the church should ever be just the Bible and the Word. I don't think the church could ever be that. That's your best. That's it. That's his best argument. But that's another topic, kind of worms. But here we go.
Of course, Carlyle, who's a friend of Goethe, or translator of Goethe. I think Goethe was a much older man though. They had a correspondence, though, which is very interesting. And one of the things that was happening at this time was the German idealists, and Sartre itself is kind of a parody of this long-winded German intellectual that has this esoteric theory that makes absolutely positively no sense. It's history as explained by clothing. It's history as explained by it could not make sense. And yet, the joke is that weaved inside is some divine wisdom, and that's why it's a postmodern pun. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point of the book to begin with. Fine. you approach Hegel as a conservative, you read it, and you're like, oh, this guy is bad, or this guy's incomprehensible. Then you read Marx, and Marx is a little bit like you can sense. I have a very poor opinion of Marx. Have I read every single thing Marx wrote? No. Do I have no admiration for his writing style? I think he's a fairly good writer. He's good. He's very compelling in certain areas. And he certainly
wasn't Das Kapital published in German originally?
Yeah, that's one of the things that's always questioned. Like when I hear the translations of Das Kapital, I think, oh, this is stupid. But I have to wonder how more compelling it is in its language, its original.
Isn't this like the equivalent of saying you can't understand a Quran in English? You have to read it in Arabic.
Which is stupid.
Which is stupid. Although I will say this about you should, as a Christian, know Greek, and you should know Latin, and you should have a good sense of biblical history, just as a Christian. So you know where Damascus is, you know where the Red Sea that supposedly was parted and shit like that. You should know where it's at and get an idea of what the norms were at that time, just so you could reinforce your faith, of all things.
Right. But, of course, the big dynamic of the Quran in Arabic is that supposedly the language that exists in heaven with Allah this very second. And that's where the whole spiritual dynamic comes in.
Oh, so it's basically they're playing the Enochian card.
Well, no, Muslims actually believe that the Quran we have today is a perfect copy of a perfect book that has always existed in heaven with Allah.
But you abrogated it.
So in other words, when the Quran says, kill the unbelievers wherever you find them for discourse, sowing discourse is worse than death, that actually exists in Arabic in heaven right this very second.
Well, I thought Allah was a deceiver, and I thought that in the end of the day that, they've abrogated the Quran to the point where it's basically just like a comic book size fucking book.
I don't believe that part has been abrogated.
I bet it hasn't. I bet it's been elaborated because it's fucking politically useful for people of that time and any time. Just kill your enemy. It's all good. They'll respond like in the Kali Yuga, or not the Kali Yuga, the fucking Bhagavad Gita or whatever. They'll just respond, dude.
He feels passionate about what he's saying, and that's what I look for. My bad opinion of Marx comes from the fact that I know Marxists and I know how they read Marx. And I find it irritating and self-destructive and destructive to the larger body politic and our larger ability to actually have political discourse in this country. And I can't help but try to trace these flaws that I see in Marxists back to possible origins in Marxist theories. And indeed, I have two problems with Marx. I mean, first of all, on the sort of Hegelian side and sort of the German ideology side, I fundamentally disagree with his presupposition of materialism. I think materialism is the great philosophical problem in most of these schools across the 19th and 20th centuries. I thoroughly disagree with it, but I feel that Marx particularly abuses it because he cross-applies it to Hegel, who quite plainly is an idealist. So he's superimposing one idea onto another, where it's obviously not suited for that. It's obviously
and James Lindsay explains that. James Lindsay points out Hegel is just an idealist, and so we're going to take his idea and flip it over, or satanic, make it satanic, if you will, and make it all about the material.
Yeah, so, there's no ideal girlfriend. Here's your ideal state-run girlfriend. There you go. Everyone's happy. Never mind that she's overweight and she's, geriatric and she can't have kids like what you'd want from a girlfriend or potential lover. But hey, there's your ideal girlfriend. We, the collective, get to decide what the ideal is. So really what it is it's a bunch of people in Plato's rave forming a street gang. And if you don't comply, they'll fucking kill you. Like Millay said.
Not suited for this, and as such, it seems like it has a problem with it, and so I kind of justify my bad opinion of him that way. I have to be humble though, right? It's so when I approach a book, I'm looking for when I see Hegel. So maybe I'll back up here. As a conservative, I was briefly kind of convinced into hating Hegel, an author who I did not particularly understand, because of his influence on Marx. So even when I had
what about Butler? What about Judith Butler? Again, I'm sure someone can convince me that Judith Butthead Butler would fucking be useful, right? Hey, DZ, how you doing?
I don't know if there's more to the video that we're seeing, but the chat in this video, it's they're just going. It's kind of like an echo chamber effect where I'm waiting for them to actually make a point, but I don't see the point being made.
No, they won't be made because at the end of the day, if they ever admitted to themselves that they've been duped by Hegel, they've been duped by Kraut idealism, then they'd have to admit to themselves, "Wow, I'm a dick," and they won't do it. They can't look at themselves in the mirror and say, "Yeah, I've been deceived."
Distributors' audience?
No, the distributors' audience, but anyone who follows Hegel
Uh-huh.
or the German or Kraut idealism.
Well, I mean, that's true about. I mean, I have family members who are firmly convinced about Marx. I mean, they don't know it's Marx; they call it progressivism or whatnot, and that would be horrifying. It's like that moment in the documentary Going Clear when it's this movie about Scientology, and he's asked the question, and the person who used to work with the head guy of it, David Miscavige, do you think he's a true believer? And he says, yes, he has to be, because if he sees it as I see it, it would destroy him.
Yep, he has no choice but to continue to go with the collective and say, hey, I'm willing to buy into your imaginary friends if you're willing to buy into mine. That's basically what we're dealing with, and this is why Plato is so fucking evil. And Tay Spaghetti, again, say what you will about the man, he's correct. A lot of this stuff does boil down to Plato versus Aristotle, idealism versus realism. DZD says, doing good, got back from work, chilling. That's good. We should all be chilling. At least I need to get to work as soon as humanly possible, hopefully. But hopefully when I pass this drug test, which is coming up here, and I will be able to pass it with flying colors, I'm looking forward to it. Let's see. Wolfwind Pepper says, in Islam, you are allowed to lie to convert people. Exactly. We have cookies. Join Islam. Wolfwind Pepper also says, there is a saying, a Muslim speaks more lies in a day than the desert has in the greatest day. Oh, oof. That's anti-Semitic, buddy. You gotta be careful. And yeah, I guarantee you, when we start seeing the Muslims push the anti-Semitic card, because they technically are Semites. They technically are, like the Arab ones are. I don't know about the guy who in UK with a Muslim beard and he's a fucking gingered beard or whatever. I don't know about him being a Semite. But Islam's not a race, so I don't think we can call them anti-Semites in that regard. But keep playing it because it gets more interesting. I honestly am at the point where I don't like the distributist anymore. I think he's a couple drinks away from becoming like fucking either Arini or E. Michael Jones. And by the way, my super chat, my how should we say it? My PayPal's in the description. If you want me to go look at the E. Michael Jones thing, now's the time to pay. Just saying. Let's see.
Understanding of this philosopher, I really didn't like him very much, and there's a lot to dislike about him.
Oh, before we go, I want to play this clip.
Twins!
Okay.
Yeah, we're the sons of Shem. And you say white people are the sons of Esau. Calm. So, you believe you are the sons of Jacob and black, and white people are the sons of Esau and white. Calm. But Jacob and Esau were twins. That's right. And one twin was so-called black, and the other twin was so-called white? That's right. But this would make both black people and white people Semitic. That's right, we are Semitic. And Esau is too. Oh, that's great. I am Semitic as well. Yeah, but that don't matter. You are an Ishmaelite, and not on our 12 tribes chart.
You're an Ishmaelite?
Yeah.
He's Ishmaelite with the L-I-T-E.
Yeah, the descendants of Ishmael, which are the illegitimate son of Abraham.
Yeah, don't even get me started on how weird the fucking the bloodline is. And the Ethiopian Jews are a thing, and that's only because Solomon couldn't keep it in his pants with the Queen of Sheba, right?
Well, I mean, this video is a parody of Muhammad interviewing Black Israelites, so we're dealing with people who believe that they're true Jews.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
It is incomprehensible, and he influenced some of the worst ideas in the entire world. But I think what's sort of not often said is that how influential Hegel was on other great thinkers that I deeply respect, like Heidegger, like
so
other
who cares
people in the modern era that have incredibly brilliant contributions, and that draw them in Spengler.
I'm wondering what distributors is responding to. Like which one of the James Lindsay? Because I've seen a lot of hours of content. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of all the content, but I feel like he's responding to some one particular thing at this point.
Well, if you want to see an example of what distributors is all about, let's see if I can find it here. If you click on the distributors' video, I believe it is at. We'll get back to him in a second.
Okay.
I want to say get 2 hour and 23 minutes in and 55 seconds.
All right.
2 hours, 23 minutes, and 55 seconds.
Read Hegel. And even the people who do read Hegel don't understand Hegel. I've had PhDs who haven't understood Hegel, who've done their PhD in Hegel. Not comprehensible. So you can put a lot of bullshit can be fit into these concepts. A lot of bullshit can be fit into these concepts.
And I understand that Hegel's like almost incomprehensible, but it would help to find someone who can comprehend it.
That's correct, Flake. Flake, you're correct about that. Moses took a black wife. His wife, I think, was actually from Ishmael's tribe, believe it or not. Yeah. When
James Linsey
was it the Prince of Egypt?
His old shtick, his old runabout with Gnosticism and Hegel and the rest of the German idealists.
How did he do that?
He decided to latch on to a new takedown, and that was he discovered a new villainous continental ideology.
Ooh.
That insidiously has spawned leftism.
What?
Created leftism. It weeded its way through the university systems, and it created all of the wokeness, and it inspired the World Economic Forum. And now it's the World Economic Forum's plan to deliver this horrible ideology. And the horrible ideology is Catholic distributism.
What?
Apparently, because Catholic distributism is part of idealism, and a lot of its roots go back to Hegel as well. Therefore, this bitch is basically a communist.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the unfortunate thing that distributism is technically a form of socialism.
Yep.
And of course, if it is a form of socialism, it is technically connected to German idealism and Marx and German idealism.
It's Kraut idealism. It's not German idealism. It's Kraut idealism because they're just as fucking degenerate as the Krauts. I
just want to be proper.
Well, you don't be proper. You're talking to people who they're talking like they're I'm not even kidding. Like, there's that scene in Family Guy where they're like, oh, it's a rap lyric, and then they have a translation for white people. It's the same thing with the Germans. They sound like they're coughing up a fucking lung, and they're gonna bite your head off. But then they say, I really enjoyed it. It was very apropos, and it's like really, really like if you actually translate it, it's really, really fucking clear and almost like a fucking PhD fucking wrote it. But it sounds like it's being barked at. Like you pissed them all, like they're holding the divorce papers. But here you go, Luke. I sent you the time.
Okay.
Go into this video and get to that time, please.
Basket weave. Oh wait.
Basket.
220. 223. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
There.
Around. Yeah. This is what we're dealing with.
We'll succeed, even though we're probably going to have to come through quite a year of tribulation. And with that will be the end of the lecture portion of this podcast. I'll see you on the other end.
Okay, here we go.
Hark, gentle listener. Are the woes of the modern world getting you down? Isolation, atomization, alienation. Oh no! But a new approach to the internet and social connections is coming to the fore. A place to meet quality people undaunted by the challenges of modernity. A space for new and better conversations, unfettered by the bounds of wokeness. For those men of quality, gumption, with a can-do spirit. Introducing basket weaving. Basket weaving, a new craze, sweeping the nation, bringing quality people together. Basket weaving is not an organization or a club, but a practice. Basket weaving takes social media connections and makes them real, forging the trust so long frayed by our decadent clown world. How do you start? Simply join one of our inlet servers. Look for the channel that corresponds to your locality and begin interacting with people who want to work together locally. Regular meetups are occurring now, all across America, and
nothing in Arizona. Thank God. Thank God, there's nothing in Arizona.
I would love to, just social connections then.
It literally is meeting people on the internet. But this gives you an idea of just what he's all about, and I'll tell you, I'm just a guy on the internet.
It's kind of like the same thing that Steve Turley's doing.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is. And at the same time, it's something that Arini tried and maybe failed at. I'm not sure if he did fail.
Yeah, he tried. Well, he tried to do it through less than ideal Christian sources.
What do you think? Given the fact that Distributus is stuck in the land of idealism, don't you think that he would probably do the same thing with? I mean, he's pretty close to that Philosophat girl.
I get the point. I want to be around other people like me, and my best option is being around Christians who are similar enough to me.
Yeah, and at the same time, there's not many people like me, so I'm kind of like just a wanderer, so to speak. I'm a shifty-eyed wanderer like Ben Shapiro in that regard until the Daily Wire picked me up. But yeah, go back to so if you could go back to where we were
in the
I think it would, in the video, yes.
Oh, where was that again? 20
1 hour. Yep.
Oh yeah, this was as Rare Navarre is the greatest lost teaching.
Oh yeah, the distributist.
Very hard to read. You could never figure this book out. Technically, is it a letter or is it an encyclical? I'm not even so sure. But it's a great little read. I mean, it's not. Blah, 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 blah. You read this, you read that, you read that. So when the other person says, "Oh, I didn't read that," oh, holy shit! The shit they was full. And James Linsey's utility, or the way he sold himself at least, was I'm the guy that read the books. We all know wokeness is anti-white. It's pretty fucking obvious. But I'm the one, like in the Get It clause, well, the anti-white actors, they're just dumb kids that don't know their stuff. And James Linsey says, well, I'm the one who read the actual books, and I can set the exact page number where Bell Hooks says an anti-white thing, or where Derek Bell says the bad thing, or where Kimberly Crenshaw says the bad thing.
Does he?
I don't think he. I don't think that's what he is.
I mean, I've seen a lot of James Linsey. I don't know if he does this. I mean, he probably cites it, but the videos are so long-winded. I almost don't even notice him sourcing it.
Right. No, I'm in the same boat. Like, honestly, I think he has cited it, but at the same time, I don't think he said he sells himself as that. In fact, I don't even know where James Linsey came from, to be honest.
Other than the hoax papers, that's where he came from.
Right.
I have the goods on.
And then all of a sudden, he went into that rabbit hole of finding out where Gnosticism comes from. Like, oh my gosh, James Linsey, what have you discovered?
You've discovered warp space. Congratulations, James.
I'm the reliable source for the bibliographies, guys. Your intellectual artillery has arrived. You're welcome. Right? You're welcome.
I get it. He's he mocks. He criticized distributism. Now it's given distributist carte blanche to basically mock his character.
Which just for those who need to know, you have Satanists on your side, distributist. You literally have LHP, spiritual leftists, operating within your movement, and you're going to tell me that you're the good guy, huh? Part of me thinks to myself, the old Catholic Church has to die, so the new one to come into fruition and make it stronger. People like him are the ones who are going to be on the blacklist.
I mean, well, if anything, if the Protestant Reformation should have taught us anything, that's probably not going to happen.
No, it'll happen. It'll happen, just not as fast as we would like. Not while we're still alive, let's just say. We'll get what we need, but will happen like with artists. We'll be appreciated after our time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like a dog.
Which is no fun at all. I mean, because when I'm in heaven, I don't care if anyone appreciates my work.
Here we go. PayPal. I'm putting my PayPal in case you guys want it. I'll be frank with you. I do want to get my hands on some cash, and I wouldn't mind actually doing some wet work, so to speak, for some cash. Anyhow, keep playing it because I want to.
The intellectual artillery is right. So let's call them all out on their bullshit. If I were a leftist, I'd be laughing in my boots right now. Okay, James. All right, James Linsey. You're gonna tell me what Bell Hooks says. Bell Hooks is anti-white, is she? Is Bell Hooks anti-white in the same way that Klaus Schwab is a fucking distributist? In the same way that the World Economic Forum is trying to implement the ideas of J.R.R. Tolkien? Really? Like, I can just, it's bullshit. I can equally dismiss anything he says is bullshit. It's a fundamental lack of curiosity.
What?
He just hasn't read enough Bell Hooks, dude. He just hasn't read enough distributism.
I'm pretty sure. I have to look this up. I'm pretty sure he wrote a whole. He probably hasn't though. He probably had a whole section on Bill Hook. Not Bill Hooks. Was it Judith Butler or Bill Hooks?
No, I'm saying Judith Butler.
Oh.
But he's basically saying that because distributism comes from idealism, which comes from Marx and Hegel,
true.
Which is true. That they're all the same, and they're not, but they both deal in Plato's rave. They're just another street gang in Plato's rave.
I mean, to be fair, they're just as different as not. I always make this joke when people say, "Oh, Marxism is not this." Like, we're different. We're neo-Marxists, not Marxist. I mean, do you really think there's a difference between Nazis and neo-Nazis?
Yeah, there actually is. They're not German.
But the problem is, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
It's the same. It's the same shit from a different crowd. Just saying.
They're thing from a different different kind of Gnostic.
Oh yeah, I mean, at least the Nazis, they got freaking what was it, Wolfenstein, and we actually get to like fight the Thule Society and shit like that, and kick their ass, and Lord knows the Thule Society needs to be fucking ethically fucking wiped out. Those people are
you know, this is. I think the utility of this is like really. I think James Lindsay just has to be done to figure out as a locale maybe he'll go on, but I don't know exactly what serious was to be taken from this thing at all. My one mystification is why so many people buy this, and the only thing that kind of made sense to me after a while.
I mean, one of the reasons I'm more likely to trust him than you is because your long-winded videos always have a negative. I mean, he's almost blackpilled in all his presentations. I mean, I get why he's doing it. It's like a reactionary. He's holding into the mentions Moldbug idea, how having a parallel economy or a separate society, and because at least James Lindsay's realized, no, we can actually save the schools. If we don't work our way into the schools, they could just fully destroy us.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually an offensive tactic that we're using. He's actually giving solutions instead of just saying, the end is nigh, the end is nigh, join my basket weaving club. You know, we literally could do it's spelunking and underwater basket weaving studies in Plato's Rave. We literally could do that, man. I might actually rename that to Plato's Rave, the chat, so to speak, because it is. Keep going.
All right.
Oh, but think of this: James Lindsay is an intellectual hicklip. Like, what's
a what?
A hicklet.
What's that?
I guess it's a new word. Maybe I have to read more Mencius Moldbug to know what a hicklet is.
I mean, I know what a charlatan is, but I don't know what a hicklet is.
Well, the hicklib is somebody who comes from a red community.
Oh, hicklib.
Yeah, so basically somebody who, on like Reba McEntire, not Reba, is it Reba McEntire? Reba McIntosh, the singer, right? Reba, right? The country singer.
Oh, yeah, because James Lindsay, I mean, he mentioned he kind of grew up in the backwater red states, and so he kind of became, he has a typical story of leaving the backwater red state, becoming a liberal in the college. Of course, the difference is I realize, wait a minute, what the heck are my fellow academics doing up here? What are my fellow cool liberals doing up here?
Let me see if I can find it here, Luke. This is the type of shit that Lindsay's into. Oh, not Linsey. Moldbug's
accelerationism is just losing with alacrity.
Here we go. So at 1 minute in.
1 minute in.
1 minute in. 30
individual or collective level utopia, or because there is simply no alternative. We can either prolong our suffering or go right through it. Hence, they push for deregulation, the merging of the digital with the human, and the overall rejection of the belief that we can somehow control progress. Current accelerationist circles have even argued that the election of Trump, a hyper-capitalist, anti-establishment figure, is the first true manifestation of their movement in politics. Where did this begin exactly? Many point to the mysterious philosopher and writer Nick Land as the source of the movement. Land was a young professor at Warwick, already known for his eccentricity, love of Nietzsche, and his propensity for climbing over chairs. He would tell his lecture audiences that he worked in the field of the collapse of Western civilization studies, and he would also get extremely high in his office. Reading
our heroes, ladies and gentlemen, our heroes. This is the person you're. He's a Catholic and he's doing this shit. And I have to ask, there are a lot of Catholics out there who will say they're Catholic just so they could get pussy. I'm not one of them.
Honestly, what's the deal with Catholicism and reactionary politics?
Well, it's because I would argue it's liberation theology combined with shitheads like E. Michael Jones who want to censor the internet instead of just, building a forum and having your own little regulated, hug box, so to speak. I mean, Let that happen.
Is it for them is like the best way to bring the Vatican back?
It's the best way for them to get their groove back, dude.
Uh-huh.
And if you go into 5 minutes and 33 seconds in.
5 minutes and 33 seconds.
Yep.
Land's thought was only further encouraged by new arrivals at the Warwick Philosophy Department, who equally rejected the optimism of the Californian ideology, which envisioned a world in which new technology unlocked human potential, as well as the traditional leftist view of humanism and rights that pervaded humanities departments. With the help of two young lecturers, Mark Fisher and Seti Plant, they formed the Cybernetic Cultural Research Unit, or CCRU, which operated within a single office in the Philosophy Department. The CCRU listed these now commonly discussed but at the time quite niche topics as their general discussion points, and they would regularly produce cryptic articles with invented terms and convoluted messages. For example, the article Soar Machines discusses situationists, carbon dating, and describes jungle, an intense genre of electronic dance music. They would also host virtual futures, conferences that acted as a performative way to reject the common discipline and formality of university lectures. For example, in one, Land simply laid down in front of an audience and croaked into a mic while he played Jungle. An audience member reportedly stood up and said, "Some of us are still Marxists, you know," and stormed out. As time passed, the CCRU became more and more despised. Land would leave the department and continue the work of the CCRU above a spa body shop. There, the group drifted from accelerationism towards the occult, a move like...
It's nonsense like this that almost makes you praise illiteracy.
Yeah. Honestly, thank God that I am illiterate. I mean, there's a see if I can find it here for you. There's a picture in here, and it kind of describes me.
I mean, illiteracy should never be encouraged. Being ignorant is bad, but when you get this deep into it and read things, the bad things over and over again, go, yeah, it would have been better to be ignorant.
Quite literally, ignorance is bliss in some regards, Luke. One such regard. See if I can post it here for you. I can't post it here. There it is. There we go. That is basically me right there. For the longest time, I have a little bit of barbarian in me. As much as I like to bash the Germans, I got a little barbarian in me.
When the barbarian can't understand common, but is immune to power, the word kill is the result.
Man, it's power word kill. It's like the equivalent of the anti-life equation. You hear it, you die. The man is literally too illiterate to die. That's me. So like a lot of this magic shit will go over my head, and I'll see right through it and I'll just punch the fucking magician in the face. Fucking bash that bitch's face in. Right. But yeah, again, a lot of this stuff, NRX, dark enlightenment shit comes out of the occult. What the fuck are you doing in the occult, distributist? What are you doing there? Why are you in that area? Like, I have a reason. I'm actually hunting Satanists and shit.
When I first started to study, I thought, okay, what is this magic? Like, what is magic in the occult? Like, oh, that's it. Oh,
it's talking shit. You're literally talking shit.
It's just cheap. It's just substitute for religion. Like, hold this book, read this chant, and this thing, and you'll channel the spirits. Like, oh, so it's the dumbest things that people make jokes about religion about. Like, oh, great.
But this time you own it yourself, so you're not actually being held down by some peder-ass priest or some guy in the Vatican. Although
I said this before, studying the occult made me finally realize that there is literally no such thing as magic. So I am grateful for that.
Oh yeah, they're just talking shit, like I say. And again, magical words have magical powers, don't you know? So go back to the distributist. I want to hear what he has to say about this whole scenario.
What characterizes them is that they're deeply they're aware that Red America is less cool than Blue America. They're deeply aware of Red America as being less cool than Blue America. But as opposed to defend their own people and their own interests, they try to hop on the bandwagon of Blue America. Sometimes they copy over the tropes of their old Red American identity. So this gets you to the whole Yellowstone meme, where you got like the guy in the cowboy in the pickup truck sitting looking off in the distance and thinking, "Yep, sometimes what a man's got to do. Sometimes a man's just got to drive his son to the gender reassignment clinic so he can get his balls cut off. That's just a hard choice that men sometimes got to do. And I'm a cowboy, I can make those hard decisions." Yeah. It tries to recombine the virtues of the old with the...
Have you seen memes like this?
I've seen, I think it was a Bud Light commercial about it, a Budweiser commercial.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. That's just hilarious. That sounds like a bad advertisement that would backfire horribly.
Oh, it did backfire horribly. I mean, the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, right? That backfired right in their freaking face.
The trying to combine old time America with all of the moralistic platitudes of Blue America, even though they're obviously in contradiction with each other. They obviously don't go together. They don't go together well at all. They completely implode each other's narrative framework.
Right. So.
And the thing is, at first, the Hick Club is kind of pathetic because the two sides contradict each other. But what really makes the Hick Club pathetic, from my point of view, is that he's hopping on the bandwagon after the bandwagon's already caught fire and crashing. It's too late to profit off of this.
What?
If you're a Hick Club in the 1990s, or the 80s, if you're a Hick Club in the 70s, you're gold. As a matter of fact, Garrison...
I don't think... that would not be a good extra description of Linsey, though.
It's not. He just doesn't like the fact that this guy is going to get found out. You've already sided with a bunch of people who you really should not have sided with. People who are absolutely against the Catholic Church and America by extension. and you're siding with them, and you have dirty shit, and your shit stinks, and you have skeletons in your closet, and they're not the type of skeletons that will come back with the resurrection of the flesh.
This is so bizarre.
I'm telling you, dude.
I guess I should have. My default position on the distributor is he's a Catholic, and as a Protestant, I shouldn't trust him. But going this far is a little weird. It's like just happening unfold in front of my very eyes. I guess it was just kind of odd, like in the same way with Arena, I guess, when he was doing the pagan stuff, going to the pagan stuff and all that, and then all of a sudden, it's with one breaking point ended that. It's like, this is actually happening in front of me again.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And of course, I'm not. I'm only involved like a parasocial relationship where I'm a celebrity, like I follow these people like celebrities, and like, oh, this is actually playing out now on total strangers that I only follow on their content.
Yeah.
Made his entire career on NPR by just being a giant hicklib. Prairie Home Companion, and I love that show because I love folk music, and I love monologues, and I love radio plays, but it's freaking hicklib variety hour for 2 hours. That's all it is, and it's insufferable. Even though it should be good, it's hicklib variety for 2 hours. But if you did this in the early 80s, like yours and Keeler, like you were fucking made. You had an in to the in-group because they were ascending. But progressive America has peaked. There's no more room on this bandwagon, so you're jumping onto a bandwagon that's already caught fire. There's no way that this can pay out. And everything like that, like Linsey is the same way. Like, and it's always this idea, like hicklibbery is the intellectual cargo cult. It's like, well, liberals did this, so if we do this, we'll get cool like the liberals do, or like the progressives do. No, and this is the same thing true with James Linsey.
Okay, here we go.
James Linsey is the believer in the intellectual cargo cult. What do intellectuals do? They read a lot of old books, they come out with heavily documented bibliographies, and then they append their political opinions at the end and decide who's good and bad.
Well, I mean, James Linsey, thanks to James Linsey, I know what the term liberal actually means, which is something, an absolute failure of the left and the right. And
what does it mean?
It basically means a person who believes in preventing who rejects tyranny. A person who says any government that exists has to be done with liberty, with freedom, and it has to make bulwarks against tyranny, which is what the American experiment was.
Okay, so here's the difference between somebody like, let's say, Distributus and James Linsey. Ready?
All right.
Distributus would say, go read the Gaelic Wars, and I will tell you why to read the Gaelic Wars, because if you look up. There's a scene in the Gaelic Wars, Caesar's Gaelic Wars, where a Roman soldier is teaching a slave how to read. And there's a point in it where he says, don't you ever teach these people how to read and write. Don't ever do it. And this is where we get the concept of the liberal arts, the classical liberal arts. The ones that the scholastics, the fucking Distributus over here, the Catholics would actually push, which is grammar, logic, rhetoric, arithmetic, geometry, music, astronomy. Okay. Those are the classical liberal arts, and those would be considered what a classical education is. If you teach people how to read on their own, with critical thinking, you could make someone basically, a slave, basically buy their freedom back. You'll empower them. They're liberating. There's a reason why Libra and Lucha Libre have the same roots. They both come from the concept of freedom.
Oh, so the concern is that if you make them too liberal, they will have no order, no restraint to what they will do.
Yes. If that's the idea, why they didn't want to, why the slave wasn't allowed to read.
That actually reminds me of a line from the movie Luther. And he said, and he was kind of wondering, why don't we teach the people, why don't we teach the Bible anything other than Latin? Because if more people hear the words of God, it would be very inspiring. And he said, what would happen if every pig herder or any person was allowed to read? And, obviously saying that it would be absolute chaos. But Luther said, well, it might make more Christians, Father.
No, it wouldn't make more Christians, because you'd have people who don't get who don't get the memo. You'd have people who would have their own canons. You'd have people who are coming up with their own interpretations. Looking at you, Mormons, in this regard, you'd have a bunch of different instances.
They're not all. I mean, they have no respect for the scriptures. They're basically the mystery cult of Joseph Smith. They are insane.
That, and also you have Protestants out there as well. There are certain crazy sects out there, like what was it, the Christian Scientists. Go look them up if you ever want to see an example.
They're interesting people, aren't they?
They are interesting. They got the Amish, of course, and then you have a bunch of again, where does it say in the Bible to reject all worldly things past, I think, 1776 or I can't remember what the actual. I'm sure Beckloff will come in and tell me sometime what the Amish, like their technological kneecap is.
Well,
so
yeah, the Amish are like a force onto them, because I actually saw a documentary on what the Amish do, and apparently they don't even preach the gospel. I mean, at best they share, like, their sermons are basically like these almost folktale moments where they say, oh, I remember this, and their sermons don't even amount to studying the scriptures. Like, they suck even in the biblical sense.
Damn.
And I had when I went to go visit Beckloff, I had the wonderful opportunity of being stuck behind them in traffic.
Jesus Christ! Can you imagine that freaking horse just shitting in your face while you're stuck in traffic?
Ugh.
It can't help itself.
Yeah.
So, but keep playing it.
That was the pattern of leftism. And that's like, that's why I always accuse people like Ben Burgess and Matt McManus. They don't write actual writing. They just write bibliographies with their opinions inserted at the end. Like, there's no chain of logic or new logic. There's just like, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. Now here's what I think. And there's no revelation.
Well, isn't that what all research is, technically?
I mean, you're standing on, like, we're all standing on the shoulders of Aristotle. Giants, yeah. Aristotle, fucking Luther in some cases, and even Aquinas. You could argue that Aquinas, we're all standing on his shoulders because he saved a lot of this of Aristotle, and what we know from Aristotle comes from the church. Yeah, so I mean, we're all standing on shoulders of somebody else. And what I really think this is, at the end of the day, is that he knows the jig is up. He knows that his bullshit equivalent, Catholic equivalent of communism, will never come to fruition. Heaven will not come to earth. You're going to have to meet it halfway, and the question is, how much blood are you willing to shed to meet utopia?
I think it's also like a more common than that. Like, people realize, modernity's not that bad. We just have to stop being stupid about it.
That, and also the fact that, modernity is a social construct. I mean, what? It is! It fucking is!
I mean, the only time I heard the term from modernity was from reactionary circles, so maybe it is.
It's like the patriarchy.
It's the demiurge of the reactionary right.
It literally is the demiurge of the reactionary right. And, everyone talks about, how Hegel they were pushing back against the modern world. This is what pushing back against the modern world right here, Luke. This is of Moondog, the actual pagan musician, who is, I'll just say it right now, any pagan who actually exists, you will automatically be held up to this guy right here, the Viking of Fifth Avenue, a homeless man who made his own music. He was blind, by the way. And this is what he looked like in the 1950s. He used to groove with Janis Joplin and a lot of the beat guys back in the day. A lot of the hippies liked him.
Oh, what?
And the cool thing, Moondog. The Viking of Fifth Avenue. He literally was a homeless guy, and he dressed up with a Viking horn and everything like that, so people wouldn't mistake him as Jesus. That's the modernity you're rejecting. So whenever someone says rejected modernity, embrace tradition, these are the motherfuckers you're talking about right here. This guy right here. But here's the thing. Unlike Varg, who actually blew up churches and got I don't even think his prison album went fucking viral or gold or platinum yet. This guy actually has been in he tutored people, he helped people, he met people. He was a hobo. He actually made his way through the world, and he's even in a lot of actual major budget freaking films. Hell, if you own, let's say, Windows 7, one of his remixes of his song, of his tune, The Bird's Lament, that's actually comes with Windows 7. Now, when you get to that point, guess what? You're basically you've basically rejected the modern world and you made it your own. But again, when they say reject the modern world, they're talking about the guys in the suits. They're not talking about the homeless Viking screaming about how the Jews did 9/11, so to speak. Yeah. But we're going to move on from Distribute This, because I really do feel like I'm boring you guys for a bit. I'm going to read some of the chats here. Careful, Dashing. You are speaking heresy talk. I probably am, but what are they going to do about it? They literally can't enforce.
According to which church?
Well, according to the Catholic Church, I think that's what he's talking about. Holy Mystic says, y'all know every time I hear Applejack about My Little Pony, I think Reba. You really do think Reba with Applejack from My Little Pony? Okay, that sounds cool. Wolfram also says, as someone who was rejected by society to a point, I wasn't even taught how to read or write. Oh, dude, Join the club, mate. My mom and dad taught me how to read and write. I actually didn't learn to read or even write very well until probably the first year of high school, to be honest. I've been failed too. We've all been failed in that regard. Not just to take away your personal struggles. I mean, I had technology. I mean, go look up an Alpha Smart 3000 if you want to see an example of what technology they were willing to give me in the cradle of fucking civilization that is the Silicon Valley. He says, I don't care about society. I'm not a part of it. Do with it as you wish. There you go. And he has more of a common with pagans, because pagans apparently are the people who are outside of the state. They're outside of the cities. They're the country folk. He would be more of a pagan by the traditional term or the anthropological term than anything else. DZ says 1d4 illiteracy damage. Yeah, that I'm gonna feel that one in the morning. Holy Mystic, any bonus for that d4 DZ? I don't know. Only if you have proficiency. Don't in this case. Yeah, I don't have proficiency in literacy either. I'm not very good at it. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, let's move on to something a bit more. We went to Chainsaw Man. Okay, Megan Fox, because that's what we got.
What happened?
Well, apparently she's doing poetry now.
Oh.
And again, despite my greatest efforts to just not watch Roaming Millennial, Glenn Beck keeps fucking shilling her because I guess she's like everyone wants to like fuck her. I guess.
Very interesting thumbnail.
Oh wow, that is very interesting. She has her poetry arc. No, this is her poison pen letter. I'm gonna write a love song, and it's gonna be specific to certain people who will read it, and they'll be like, that bastard, that bitch. That's what.
I hate.
What? Oh,
keep playing it.
Hate men. I 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 hate men. Wait, how many times did I read that? I hate men. 7, the number of completion. So Megan Fox wrote a book of poetry. Let's talk about it. And I'm sure most of you are already familiar with Megan Fox. She is the actress who's best known for appearing in those Transformers movies or that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. If you've been following her career, you'll know that there have been some hiccups.
No. Let me just say this about Megan Fox. Wow, she kind of let herself go. I mean, she's kind of getting old. But a lot of people will talk about Transformers film. They'll never talk about Jennifer's body. Like, that's where a lot of the chicks liked Megan Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Guys know her from Transformers, but a lot of the chicks know Megan Fox from Jennifer's Body. A movie where she literally gets sacrificed by a satanic, a devil-worshipping a rock band. She gets possessed by a succubi and starts eating up the school. And literally starts killing guys and like drinking their blood and stuff. Really, really sick shit.
With only Amanda Seyfried to stop him.
Well, no, actually, I think what happened was one of the nerdy girls who was like her best friend in the high school, apparently she killed her, and then because she survived the bite from a succubi, according to the lore, she gains the powers, and then she hunts down those.
She gets in, then she hunts down the original band and kills them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
About working with Michael Bay, but in the end, those two ended up making up. And so since then, she has like worked again in Hollywood, and she still does appear in like movies. But I think it's also safe to say that at this point in her career, Megan Fox is actually better known for her personal life than her acting work. Right now, when Megan Fox is in the headlines, it's usually not because
she's having her Britney Spears arc. Yes, she is.
For some shenanigans she's gotten up to on Instagram, posting scantily photos of herself, or because she has.
So is the celebrity term of letting yourself go like going over on the plastic surgery?
Yeah, I mean, now she like, look at those lips. Those lips, just leave the lips alone. Your tits are fine. Your hair can, maybe just have it natural. Like, I often say to chicks, just pick 3 items to put on, whether it be lipstick and eyeliner and maybe, I don't know, a custom mold that you put on maybe. But, like, just have that and then work with your natural beauty, and you will be 100% better off. Otherwise, you'll be like one of these goths who has, like, dried up, like, swamp donkey look because they're putting freaking... Jesus, Luke, really? You have a lot of freaking clips on that one.
It always happens for some reason.
Well, she does have dick-sucking lips.
Wait, who's her boyfriend? Husband?
Machine Gun Kelly.
Ah.
fiance, maybe husband, I don't know, Machine Gun Kelly. I don't mean to sound like a hater here, even though that's probably going to be the overall vibe of this video. Megan Fox is one of those women who I feel like has actually kind of gotten, if I could say, a little trashier as she's gotten older, which is usually not how that transformation happens. I mean, yes, Megan Fox has always been known as a bombshell and as a sex symbol, but still,
This was the interview for her book.
Oh, come on, Megan. Just go natural. Don't wear the red hair. Like, you look like, she looks like, what the hell's her name? My dog's the bee girl. Amber Heard. She looks like a discount version of Amber Heard. That actually looks attractive. Wear that.
Oh, when I saw her in Transformers, swoosh, like that shot right here, that was wow.
Fucking California.
If I weren't already past puberty, I would realize, oh wow.
Yeah, Jennifer's body, where she actually,
and I guess that's her music video, starring in the music video right there.
Apparently, Machine Gun Kelly made fun of Eminem, and then Eminem shot back at Machine Gun Kelly because why the fuck wouldn't you, right? You don't let that shit lie down. Eminem beat Machine Gun Kelly so badly in a rap battle that Machine Gun Kelly changed genres of music. That's how bad he lost.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Used to be.
Oh wait! You look, her half of her necklace is blurred out. Like,
okay.
Oh, what does it
say?
I don't know.
Let's zoom in.
I can't. It's blurred. It's like a. What's it say? A something like CD. I can't. It's too far away. I can't read it.
Daddy's whore, I think.
Pretty boys are Pretty boys are poisonous. Huh. Okay.
I want to hear what.
Sexiness on the
I want to hear her.
Looks like this, whereas nowadays it's more just through
she's reading from it.
Instagram
She's reading from it.
I want to hear what she has to say.
Hold on, let me get this.
Friend, naive girl, so many secrets hiding behind your scorched earth temper. I would say a different period.
That doesn't even wrong. Hold on a second.
Flame.
And sometimes volatile love life.
True love, twin flame, trusted friend, naive girl, so many secrets hiding behind your scorched earth temper.
And when you ask me, I say yes, but I don't understand yet why you always tasted like ashes. Oh, come on, it doesn't even rhyme.
This is her fucking. I'll tell you right now why she's a vampire. She is apparently a vampire. Which I'll just say it right now, honey. You could drink my blood any day, baby girl.
And I understand that poetry is supposed to kind of be like just arranging the words pretty, but come on, rhyme. Let it rhyme. That's how people know poetry.
But like honestly, a lot of this is self-help. The self-help gurus are to blame for Megan Fox's state of affairs right now.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, some new age guru basically gave her the idea that a lot of her ex-lovers are energy vampires, and the way she describes it, it comes off like a new age person fighting a fucking monster. When in reality is, I can't control my hormones like Mrs. Crybaby. You know, that's what it is. She's literally somebody who gets passed around in Hollywood. She wonders why, she's getting bad energies because she's literally, like sex is sacred, right?
Uh-huh.
And she's fucking everything that moves. She's basically a temple whore, and she wonders why she's being, glamorized like a temple whore. I'm sorry.
You're kind of acting like one.
Well, yeah, exactly. Oh, but that's just misogyny. Therefore, we could just dismiss it, right?
Of course.
That's just heteronormative Christian propaganda.
Oh, and this is how she was dressing. And this is how she was dressing before.
Is that like Lady Death?
I guess that was for Halloween, probably.
Fucking thumbnails, Luke.
Takeaway here is that being an it girl just looks very different in the year 2023 than it did in like 2010, in which case my commentary is never forget what they took from us. But in any case, we can now add to Megan Fox's long list of accomplishments the fact that she is a published author. That's right, she now has a book of poetry out titled Pretty Boys Are Poisonous. Megan Fox showcases her wicked humor throughout a heartbreaking and dark collection of poetry over the course of more than 70 poems. Fox chronicles all the ways in which we fit ourselves into the shape of the ones we love, even if it means losing ourselves in the process. And if you haven't heard of this book of poems before, essentially it very neatly fits into the overall persona that Megan Fox has curated for herself, that being, kind of like edgy and dark, but also sexy. And specifically, according to
sexy vampire. A sexy vampire, Luke.
Uh-huh.
Sexy vampire.
But, aren't vampires always supposed to be sexy?
Well, bite me, baby, and drink all my blood. Oh yeah, sexy vampire. I'm falling in love with you. Could do what you want to do. You know that song, right? Maybe I'm too old for that.
I think so.
trance.
At least in part inspired by her experiences going through some very toxic relationships. These poems are written in an attempt to excise the illness that had taken root in me because of my silence. I spent my entire life keeping the secrets of men. My body aches from carrying the weight of their sins. My freedom lives in these pages, and I hope that my words can inspire others to take back their happiness and their identity by using their voice to illuminate what's buried but not forgotten in the darkness. And
I guess she's speaking truth now, I guess.
Well, she's basically going on her revenge arc. She's going on like her Britney Spears arc, which I'll just say it. Britney, I feel bad for her because at least Britney, she doesn't have any skills. Like, she never got into high school education, thank God. But it's really bad what's going on with Britney. God bless her. But, you know, Megan Fox, I think they should team up with Britney. I think they should, because the system has done horrors to these women.
Oh, her necklace is A, B, C, D, E, and then where it should say F, I'm guessing it says something else.
Oh boy.
Leave it to your imagination there. Oh yeah, and look, she has a red hair and a little bow in her hair, like she's like a child. It's like, what?
Honestly, I get the feeling that she has more. She's the type of girl who plays the innocent girl, but she's not anymore. She's like a.
It's like a Ramona Flowers effect. You know her?
Ramona, yeah, I know about Ramona Flowers. DCD says, I'm more of a bat-like Nosferatu vampire guy. Yeah, you know, honestly, one of the best vampire films that came out in the last decade or so, or the last 20 years, is Daybreakers.
Oh, that was very good.
That was very good. Very, very good. Fucking Willem Dafoe, right? Fucking Ethan Hawke. Even Sam Neill gets to play his, like, Prince of Darkness persona that from The Omen Part 3, I believe. Yes, Part 3. Yeah, he's in all that. And, you know, a lot of that was like it actually explained why the vampires start looking like Nosferatu, because they weren't getting their fix. They weren't getting their drink on, right? And it's sort of like what's going to happen to Megan Fox once she gets liberated, right? When she's free from all these bad habits. If she really is a vampire, she's going to have to feed eventually. And whether it be negative energy or whether she just finds some simp on fucking OnlyFans to like to work with her. Because I'll tell you this, she's in control. It's not Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly sounds like a guy who's trying to compensate. Does he even own a machine gun? That's the real question I want to know. Is it an AK doesn't count. You get yourself a fucking RPK, and then you're a real machine gun man. Or a Thompson. Keep going.
I didn't want to review these poems because, you know, when a work has been inspired by something traumatic that someone has gone through, I don't want to come off as insensitive to that suffering and to that emotional hardship. But at the same time, we review media on this channel. Megan Fox chose to put these poems out there. And even though I don't want to seem like a jerk, I also very strongly believe that no art, no work is above criticism. And so with that said, let's take a look at some of these poems. A lot of them are very short. We're going to read some today. Yeah, together we can evaluate Megan Fox's poetry chops. But before we get into that, I do want to let you all know something pretty excited. The Blind. The true story of the Robert
No, blah, 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 blah. We gotta sell the Daily Wire subscription.
Oh, no, this is a Blaze TV. This is a Blaze TV subscription.
Oh, well, in that case, it's even better. Because I will say this about Lauren Chen. She's smart enough to know not to stick where the money is. And she doesn't hop around like fucking Crowder or fucking the rest of them.
Although, speaking of Daily Wire, have you seen the trailer for Lady Ballers?
No, I haven't, Luke, and I'm sure you're going to show me.
It's a collection. I mean, basically, it's a movie made by the Daily Wire, and it's compiling. It's basically a basketball team that's out of luck, and they, hey, let's all pretend to be women and win championships.
That sounds awfully familiar to the frickin' Cool Runnings. You remember that movie from the 90s?
Yeah, movie? But it's not making fun. It's not based on a true story, or not an explicitly true story. Because Daily Ballers is just, hey, let's take all the absurdities of the clown world and put them into a movie.
It's like if we combine Cool Runnings with I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, where they fake it till they make it so they can...
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, shit.
Although, it could be, if it has a satisfying ending, it will be good, but that's yet to be seen.
I kind of want to go rewatch I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. I mean, that movie was made right at the hype of the fucking LGBT WXYZ silent Q and a Batman symbol fucking movement. And I actually remember I liked it. David Spade was in it. Actually, he makes a cameo. That's pretty cool.
Check it out. I just want to say from the start, if you were tuning in expecting me to just rip into Megan Fox's poetry, well, there's definitely going to be some of that, but honestly, some of it's actually not that bad. And I guess it's also relevant to say that I am not a poetry connoisseur. I'm not super into reading poetry. I don't mind it, but it's not, one of my main interests. So I guess feel free to shred me in the comments and say that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I wouldn't know good poetry if it
I would if I was allowed, wasn't blocked.
Lauren is much higher than Megan Fox. Is that true?
No, I actually would prefer Megan Fox over Lauren. And even then, Lauren, like, say what you will about Harvey Weinstein, right? At least I didn't fuck my producer to get my positions at certain parts of the Blaze or whatnot.
That we know of for Megan.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she did, but let's be frank. If it's the norm, guess what? That's what that is. But here, she's actually presenting a news media and information. There's actually something for her to gain here and for us to lose because she's fucking her producer, right?
Scale of 1 to 5 here, with 1 being just terrible, awful, AI can and has written better, and 5 being, I mean, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's like, for a Megan Fox poem, I like this. Okay, that's the scale we're using. So first up, we have passion, from Latin to suffer, veritas. Yeah, like I said, a lot of these are super.
Yeah.
Veritas meaning truth?
I guess. Like, passion from Latin to suffer, veritas.
Veritas is to suffer?
That's a poem?
I guess it is. Veritas means, let's see, meaning is truth, reality. Oh, so reality is to suffer. Okay. Let me see if I can find the actual etymology behind this, because justice, reality, truth, evenness, equality, fairness. Nah, it says nothing about suffering. It says not a damn thing. Let's keep going.
Veritas. Yeah, like I said, a lot of these are super short. If you're thinking of buying this book and you're like, wow, 70 poems, that's so much. Like, no, it'll probably take you around 30 minutes, if that, to read all this. But yeah,
it's a book that you would have in your bathroom for, like, just, like along with 1,000 facts that you never knew you needed to know. Shit, like, it's bathroom reading.
Yeah, it's not like it's not Rudyard Kipling or anything.
Yeah, you're not gonna get Rudyard Kipling from Megan Fox.
No.
A 2-star rating, because I feel like, and you know what, I said it before, not an expert on poetry, but I prefer poems that aren't also.
You don't need to be an expert to know what shit.
A classic, I hate men, 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 I hate men. Wait, how many times did I read that? I hate men. 7.
That's just all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
She literally is. She is copying Kubrick, so I mean, she's on the right track.
Well, copying a madman within Kubrick, who might actually be a pedophile. But
what's the difference? What's the difference?
Completion. Again, 1 star. Like, I get that obviously she's talking about men in her life who have been toxic and abusive toward her, which is not okay. But also, that does not excuse misandry. Like, if a man has been in a bad relationship and then just starts writing, I hate women everywhere, I don't think we would be applauding it or being like, oh, that's so good.
Oh, and by the way, I should also point out that it was 7 plus 1. And if 7 is the number of completion, and what is 8? Luke.
Oh. What is it?
You flip it. If you flip 8 on its side, what does it look like? The infinity symbol.
Mm-hmm.
All this has happened before, and all of it will happen again. Especially if you don't learn your lesson the first time going through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
To write, like, no.
Harvey Weinstein's people went through the fucking desert for multiple years.
Like, Renegade of Mortal Kombat, I start daydreaming of the look on your face when I tell you his D word was so much bigger than yours. Fatality. I would say one star. This one I do not like. And again,
she's.
Fatality?
She's comparing the manhoods of her lovers and, like, fatality. Like, oh, he was bigger than you.
So what, well, we all know that Jax probably has the biggest one of them all. I'm just saying. Of all the Mortal Kombat glide up next to Johnny Cage, which, let's be frank, Megan Fox probably fucked Johnny Cage.
But, I mean, there are a lot of I'm sure there are inside jokes to this, so anyone who knows Megan Fox personally or knows her livelihood, they'll get the joke, but of course, I don't get it.
And that's what this is. That's exactly what this is. This is not designed for the readers like you and me. This is designed for the people who fucked Megan Fox, thought they got a real quickie off of her, and this is her saying, "I know what you did last summer," but basically being passive aggressive about it.
You've been fighting me for 3 hours like we're in a game of Mortal Kombat. Was that like aggressive sex?
I think that was probably.
I started daydreaming of the look on your face when I tell you. So maybe it's just an argument. It's not angry sex. It's just having a fight. And then she pulls out, the D card.
Because it's just, like, it's kind of gross. But it's cheesy. I feel like if the genders were reversed, this would be something that would be mocked as being 4chan-esque. And, yeah, not my jam. Maybe the apple was actually a C word, and maybe Eve wanted it because Adam was too busy, self-absorbed, and distracted to F her. Maybe the original sin was a man taking a woman for granted. I've always liked servants.
Oh, jeez. Really?
So we're going with the Lilith Lilith angle here, where women are empowered, so we basically push back against the Lord so hard that we basically become demonic.
I mean,
is
is
that
this
what we're
kind of
going
like
with?
is this kind of the opposite of what people assume of men? Like they get so distracted they don't even think about sex.
I guess that's how this works.
So again, with the religious theme, but you know what? At least here the imagery is cohesive. And I'm actually on the fence about this one. I'm not sure if it's like a 1 or 2 star for me. You know what? Split the difference. 1.5 stars. If I had a nickel for every time you showed up for me, I would have exactly 0 nickels. But I know I've earned a mansion in heaven for all the times I forgave you for calling me a stupid C word 70 times 7. This is very specific, obviously referencing a not great relationship. I would give this a 2 out of 5 stars, and it's not just because of the vulgarity, because I think there can be a place for that in art. It's just, again, it's kind of cliche, like, oh, if I had a nickel, literally a saying.
This isn't poetry. What makes this poetry? Because it's lined up on the side?
Because it has a good font and text to it, Luke. Yeah.
That you're starting a poem with, so it's not the most original. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when I read this, I'm not moved. I'm just kind of uncomfortable. And for anyone who might be thinking, oh Lord, your ratings seem very arbitrary, yeah, that's accurate. If Romeo and Juliet had lived long enough, maybe they too would have gotten to the point where Romeo was so numb to her, he would rather read Twitter in bed than F word. Because there's always tomorrow for that, or maybe the next day.
A woman complained about not having enough sex. That's different.
Well, you want me to tell you what that is?
What?
That's borderline personality disorder.
Oh.
Yeah, so like he probably fucked her like 15 times and now she still wants more, and because he cannot give it to her, she's gonna take it personally and say, oh, you're weak, you don't have the stamina for me, I'm better than you. I'm like, honey, let me go get some weed and we'll just fuck each other all night long as we smoke pot. That's what we do. That's how you deal with borderlines. You have to stimulate them more than they stimulate you, or else you will basically you'll suffer essentially. Keep going.
Or the next. I don't know, he's just so busy now. I still imagine she kills herself in the end, though. Only he doesn't follow. He just signs up for Raya instead. I would die for you. Oh, JK, LOL. Now, I feel like a lot of these are meant to be kind of tongue-in-cheek, and Megan Fox herself has said that she has a pretty dark sense of humor. But just, I don't know, as a poem, do I find this beautiful? Do I find this moving? I have to say, not really. With that said,
there's a lot of emotional baggage attached to this because the analogies don't make any sense. So clearly she had something very specific in mind.
Well, it's like Elton John singing a song about Tiny Dancer, right? That song was meant for a certain person. There are certain songs that are written specifically to get back at people, like Layla, right? Layla.
Justin Timberlake has a song. Justin Timberlake has a song "Crying Me a River," which was actually a jab at his ex, Britney Spears.
Yep. And guess what? This is all just passive aggressive shit. This is literally just her paying her publisher to say, "Oh, look at me, I'm smart too. I have boobs, and I'm able to, fucking write a poisonous pen letter." Because that's what this is. It's a poisonous pen letter. It's designed to target her exes. I guarantee you this.
From DZ, the woman slam poetry from "I Married an Axe Murderer" sounds like more good.
Dude.
Ooh.
That you might actually publish it, dude. Publish it, and then like say. Like literally publish that. That actually would sell. I believe it would.
She has at the very least conveyed very clearly how she is feeling, so there's something to be said for that. 3 out of 5. Next up we have, and by the way, these poems don't have titles, so if I'm not giving titles, it's because there are none. It doesn't matter how beautiful, loyal, nurturing, sexy, witty, charming, smart, or altruistic you are, he will still take you for granted. Why I wish I was gay. Oh wait, is that the title? Or is that the end there? I don't know. I would give this a 2.5 star rating. I can tell this was definitely, inspired by a lot of strong feelings, and I don't want to overlook how she managed to convey that. And I think that little Y would.
A lot of the complaints are being neglected.
They're about being neglected. What?
Well, there a lot. I noticed she's not getting enough sex, and she's being neglected. Like, I'm noticing a pattern in this.
Yeah, and you know what it is? I think the bitch is an energy vampire. I really do think this cunt is an energy vampire, and she's the type of person who, will feel like, oh man, we're on fire. We're dating Megan Fox. The sex is great, and then she's like, I want to go again.
Yeah, I've actually heard something similar about Angelina Jolie. Like apparently she's one of the most miserable. But like I don't know. Like I heard that she's was completely always unsatisfied in her relationships. Like. How could someone be why would a guy be neglectful or unsatisfied in a relationship with Angelina Jolie? Like, what is this?
Well, I think the reason behind it is that they're in love with the idea of Angelina Jolie.
Oh.
And this is probably why we see borderline personality pop up all the time. Is that one of the telltale signs is idealism and then devaluation. If you only know Megan Fox from the Transformers films and Jennifer's Body, And you have no idea that she actually has a very bitchin' Barbie collection, let's say. And she never talks about it because it's never comes up, right? It's similar to how when Henry Cavill started building his own like PC to play during the pandemic, like, oh, Henry Cavill likes PC, that's awesome. Superman can build a PC, awesome. It's the same thing. The difference here is actual relationships. You're not getting involved with anybody. You're getting involved with the brand of Megan Fox or the brand of Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
Or the brand of Chris Chan, as you will see here. Oh yeah.
What?
Chris Chan,
Wish I was
Chris
gay, part
Chris
at the end,
Crowley
that's
Chan.
Funny in this, but honestly, so much of this reads like something you would find on r/I am 14, and this is very deep. I'm tired of being a supporting actor in everyone else's life while being a featured extra in my own, The Stepford Wife. So here, this one I actually think is pretty good. I think this is
Continuing the theme. It's like she's making a she's trying to tell us something.
the feeling that a lot of people can relate to. I don't know about. I feel like that's not exactly what it means to be a Stepford wife, though. You know what? I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. These are all still super short, and for a lot of these, I feel like it would actually work better as like song lyrics than being described as poetry. But I don't know if Megan Fox is a musician. Overall, yeah, I like.
She is.
I will always be in love with the man that you'll never become. Unrealized potential. Again, if you ask me,
Borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder. She's in love with the idea of the Marine, not the actual Marine. She's in love with the idea of an actor, not the actual actor. Yeah.
It's a universal feeling. The way she's written it, it doesn't sound too cliche or cheesy. 4.5 stars out of 5, Megan Fox. Well done. Bravo. And my heart never rests because it does not trust the hand that holds it. Why I have insomnia. See, this one I like. I feel like it's kind of on the borderline of emo cheesy, but I don't think it's quite there. Maybe you guys will disagree. Let me know in the comments. We can just discuss poetry together and be very sophisticated. Not really, it's written by Megan Fox. But I would give it...
What was that? Was she dressed as Barbie? Was that Megan Fox trying to dress like Barbie?
It looks like CJ from frickin' what is it, the Baywatch with David Hasselhoff. Yeah, we're getting into Pamela Anderson territory.
But I would give this a 4 out of 5. And I will clarify that I am grading on a curve here. So like a 4 out of 5 is like pretty dang good.
For Megan Fox. The Megan Fox curve.
Holy Mystic says physical needs are limited if the heart and soul can't be equally if not fulfilled, then the physical quickly loses its spark eventually. Just my thoughts. But for me, I prefer inner self. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But the problem, and this is the reason why, again, I avoid borderlines like the fucking plague, probably to the point where I don't actually talk to any girls anymore because they're all borderlines at this point. A lot of this is due to the fact that they just keep getting let down. And instead of acknowledging that sex is sacred, and as a result of that, we should respect it and not just put it, commodify it, right? We have to understand that there's a sacrifice going on. And the sacrifice is who you thought you were, a potential future, so to speak. But I've heard enough of bad poetry. I want to get into some really crazy shit to end the stream here.
All right.
Chris Crowley Chan. Like, there's an actual, like, we've talked about people who think that Chris is a Platonist, right?
Yeah, that
like
was
he has
funny.
more. Well, now we're getting into like some ideas that Chris is actually a black magic sorcerer, unironically, and actually, oh yeah. Let's hear this out.
Chris Chan, Black Magic. You know what? I just want to put out. This is probably the first time. I think this is the first time we've actually done a chance for that on Terminally Online.
Is it?
Unless I'm mistaken.
Squeaky Mike.
I think, no, you know what we did actually? The MTC one. Oh, and the Magnificent Con.
Yes, so you're lying.
Yeah,
So
we've
that's
done
what
2. Well, like, we're almost 20 videos in, and it's been a while. But anyway, look,
Look at his
I know
matted
Chris has
hair.
talked about an awful lot. He did.
How matted his fucking hair is. It's disgusting. Like, honestly, Chris Chan wasn't that ugly back in the day. You could probably dress him up to be something more akin to like this is back in his 20s, mind you. I think he's 35 or 38. I think 36. I can't remember. He's older than I am. I know that.